All right, what is up, everybody? We are live back, of course, for an NBA playoff Tuesday night, but it is draft week as well, too. So we are going to make sure to, have a little draft focus, though maybe not quite this draft. We will be live Thursday night during the NFL draft. I guess will we be talking about the players' journeys and depressing everybody? I don't know. Stay tuned. We'll see what kind of news pieces IT has cooked up. They've been in the lab writing. They've been traveling. The journalists. I think somebody in IT spotted with Mike Vrabel in the offseason. Was that somebody else? I don't know. But either way, we'll be live. Hey, yo, IT didn't like that one, I guess. They cut the mic. Maybe there's some guests we could get for the draft. IT! I don't know if that's if they need us sliding in the DMs right now. Should we see? Should we be Diana Rossini? What are you doing for the NFL draft? Do you need a live stream to pop on to get some takes up? Hey, yo, Chet, do we have to start over already? I don't know. Maybe we just get back to the NBA playoffs? Wait a second. What is the focus here? 2001 NFL Draft. Hey, yo, we've got Spurs, Blazers in the background somehow, and Celtics versus Sixers in the background, though. I guess we'll see how many times we look over at that one tonight. It is what it is. I guess, hey, yo, we haven't looked at it since the first quarter of the Spurs game started, and Philly's got the lead. They're just trying to mess with us, Chad. It is what it is. They've got the lead. Is Paul George balling out tonight? What's going on? I think VJ Edgecombe has been balling out, though he is on the bike right now. Is that just what he's doing on the sideline, or AO, or did he roll an ankle while we were not looking or something? Like get like a knee to the thigh, trying to stay loose? Who knows? But we've got Tatum. Oh, doubled on the post-up, Chat. Derek White for three. Hey, yo, not quite able to get it to go. That was an open look. So could Philly steal one here? I guess, Philly, honestly, a 6-game series would be impressive. I'm not going to lie. I was going to be like, do we expect 6 games? I don't know if we have to go to the FanDuel. I mean, I think a pretty basic, maybe they win a game 3, first game at home, that desperation game 4 not to get swept. It is what it is. It's a 2-7 if we're just going based on the seeding, but Philly is, they are, of course, that team with the big contracts, so there is the expectations tied to that. I mean, it is what it is, but they are also, because of, the other way around, where the roster is at, there are also tied to the expectations of the younger guys as well, too, so, Maxey and Edgecombe have overachieved, and to see him play well in the playoffs here, is ultimately what you want to have happen. I guess they have the opportunity to close the game out. They might as well. But, Spurs, like we said, somehow they did have the lead because, speaking of guys just playing out of their minds, Scoot Henderson, 13 first quarter points, like it's a G League Ignite game all over again. Hey, yo. But the Spurs, Wemby with a couple of free throws at the end there was able to get them the lead. Castle has been the leading scorer, 4 for 8. Hit a real tough driving layup early. I mean, a classic sort of Castle pause in the air layup, and then a corner 3 as well, too. When the corner 3 went in, I mean, it could be a Scoot night for sure. Hey, yo, I don't know if we have to pause that or not. Whoa. But it could be a Scoot Henderson. Yeah, does Scoot Henderson get to 20 tonight? I guess hopefully, nobody sent him the clip. But, Castle, when he's hitting the corner 3 like that, and he is just, hey, you need to hit a shot now, I'll hit a shot now type of guy. So we'll see if that, translates into a crazy scoring performance. Because this is also, that was Wemby's playoff debut in the last game, but it was also the debut for Castle and Harper as well, too. Harper obviously being a rookie, and, if they just haven't made the playoffs the last couple of years, it is what it is. So the fact that all those guys had, I guess, Castle could have also broken the Tim Duncan record for most points in a playoff debut. It's not necessarily a center-specific record. And, like George Gerving was drafted to the Spurs, I want to say. I know he started his, maybe, I actually don't think he was. Hey, yo, but he would have played his first playoff game in San Antonio, I would have think. How many did George Gervin score in his first playoff game? I know the question, on everybody's mind. It is what it is. But he did have, of course, the Spurs, everybody knows, started in the ABA. So George Gervin's career did as well too. Drafted by Phoenix in the 74 draft. Virginia, yeah, I was going to say that's the team he played for. Third in, yeah, that was our first guess, right, chat? Virginia, and it was third in Rookie of the Year voting that year. Do we count ABA playoff games? I guess we probably do. So he did play 5 games, 18 points a game for Virginia in the 72 playoff series. The Virginia Squires is the team from back in the day. Oh, and Dr. J. Ayo, shout out. Dr. J and George Gervin on the same team? Is this team in 2K? Hey, yo. This would be a crazy lineup. I mean, not quite the same overall on, George Gervin as you would at the peak of his career. Is that the 2K? Just we all want to play with with George Gervin in 2K. But, hey, yo. But if you're running the team games, there is like a classic team in the last version that we played. I want to say maybe 22, which every year it is what it is, gets farther away, more out of touch with what's going on with 2K. I guess in the last 4 or 5 years, did I maybe play like a 2K 25 or something? I doubt it, but I want to say 22, maybe 23 was the newest one, but definitely heavy minutes in 22. 2K22, I believe. I don't really know. I have to go back and look at the covers, and obviously being the cover athlete is still cool, but it was cooler when, of course, now we're in our old guy era, when you had to go back, actually get the physical copy of the video game, and it was like he's actually making the cover. I mean, that's what it is with magazine covers as well too. There was a couple of, speaking of Castle, where Castle was on a couple of Slam magazines, and it's like, I guess you could go out and obviously get the magazine, support journalism, but just the idea of, again, being the cover athlete, like, it didn't exist, the Instagram post version of it. So like, I'm just gonna scroll past it real quick. I guess you could glance past it, the eye scroll on the magazine stand. There might have been a couple other things that maybe were distracting, I don't know, but chat, is the magazine they cut the mic. It is what it is. Is the magazine stand the Instagram of the 90s? I guess I don't know. I feel there's definitely like 90s sitcom moments that happen at a magazine stand. So I don't know exactly when those went out of style. Do we have to do a little research? But what are we saying? George Gervin 2K? I guess he's on a couple of Bulls teams with MJ. So there's a couple like early MJ Bulls teams. Wemby laying on the ground, chat. What's going on? Is he being dramatic? Is this, hopefully he takes many things out of the LeBron playbook. Is this one of them? Let the injury just kind of linger for a second. Oh no, chat. He is kind of hurt. Hopefully this is not bad. I guess I was looking at the George Gervin Virginia Squires page. I didn't even see what happened. Are we going to have to rewind? IT, run back the footage. He tried to roll over and get up, and then didn't get up, chat. And now he's talking to Castle about some stuff. Of course, chat. It is what it is. We were hyping this up too much. We were getting too excited. Something was bound to happen. Straight back to the locker room. They're not showing a replay. So, I mean, a perfect time to get distracted. But we'll see. Was it Robert Williams? Was it him? Oh, he hit his face on the ground. Okay, Chad. I mean, I don't want to say what a relief, but, I didn't know if it was the flashbacks of last year's playoffs. It is what it is. And I don't want to bring up painful memories for other fans. And did he get knocked out on that, chat? I mean, again, that's not good. That's not good all the way around. He might honestly, if there is a concussion protocol thing, I know, the easy NFL thing is to sub him back in, but there might be a legitimate, save him for the, he might save Mayo. Like, what are we talking about? This man's a person, but, you might want to rest him for the rest of this game. It is what it is. I don't know if I'm being too dramatic the other way now, But, a pretty good face plant. I don't know if we're going to have to get like a tooth cap situation at the end of the game. As Wemby at the press conference, is this going to be like some iconic Wemby missing teeth? Wemby sacrificing the Instagram post, chat. Hey, yo. I mean, give it 500,000 likes easy. The cool baseline photography photo with the tooth flying out of his mouth, where it's like, oh, Wemby, laying it all on the line. This is his Jimmy Butler photo in the first round. Is his face smacking the playoffs? Hey, smacking the floor. Pause. Hey, yo. I mean, again, hopefully the orbital structure, I guess, the guys have orbital fractures. So the whole like eye cheekbone situation, is Wemby going to be in a mask? Are we going to have masked up Wemby? Again, based on the replay that I saw there, I think that seemed like it was the situation, because they cut the replay where he was already almost like parallel to the ground, like again almost making impact. So it wasn't about the launch where if you're gonna get the rolled ankle or something like that, you're taking off and then all of a sudden ankles wobbling, the ripple through the calf or something like that. Again, obviously seemed like a different scenario. It maybe makes obviously sense why he was a little woozy as well too, trying to get up afterwards. So yeah, again, hopefully big picture, obviously the playoffs and just being able to return for more games is important. But maybe tonight, this could be a no Wemby type of night. Again, we were already saying that maybe Castle is going to have to lead in scoring. Maybe he has to step up in a different way now. Maybe Fox, of course, the responsibilities become a little bit different. And, when we were thinking about this team just in the course of trying to, figure out how competitive they're going to be in this playoff run, and, how competitive is the supporting cast around Wembanyama? Is this just the hype around, them having that generational talent type guy? But I really do think if Wemby, I'm not even going to say if, for some negative reason why he wasn't on the team. It's just like if Wemby wasn't on this team and it was still the same team constructed, if we were still able to draft Castle and stuff. Okay, here we go. Full replay. Yeah, Holiday. Oh, chat. Hey, yo. Yeah, I mean, Holiday just straight up just like pulled the chair out of the way and Wemby, tripped to the ground. It is what it is. So hopefully the man's okay. Fox with the microphone plug back in right there. That would be tragic. But I mean, Fox did just miss a little bit of a floater, so but a good look still. A good look. Did Robert Williams just hit a three? Hey, yeah, what is happening, chat? Is this actually game 2? Wemby's hurt, Robert Williams is balling out. What's going on? But I guess back to what we were saying. Again, I don't know if the Spurs are going to be the 2 seed in the Western Conference, obviously, without, their MVP candidate. But I still think this could have been a playoff team in the West. Golden State didn't. Steph played 41 games this year, and still even, Steph, if there's no Wemby on the court, Steph is playing for Golden State, they're going to have that player advantage. Spurs are just a better team at that point, and they are still kind of on par with the Blazers as well, too. Advia now does become a little bit of, I guess Fox did make the All-Star team this year, but Advia does elevate. And I mean, he was probably already arguing for the second best player in the series anyways. I mean, him and Castle, I guess, we're just gonna, I guess, hey, yo, if you want to hear a non-biased Castle live stream, it is what it is. Go somewhere else. I don't know. I mean, we can't help it. It is what it is. We're going to defend our guy. He's, franchise cornerstone, taking up Duncan, of course, was as beloved as anybody gets in San Antonio. But there was, do you say a special affection? Like, there is just a special fandom, of course, that the San Antonio guys had for Parker and Ginobili as sort of favorite players as well, too. Again, there's equal love, equal respect for all the big three. It's really difficult to, at the end of the day, pick one as a favorite player over the other. But, again, it is that sort of equal thing. So you could see that at least, we're going to give Harper the credit for sure or the opportunity to continue to work his way there. And because of the draft type, and I don't know, the NBA lineage as well too. I don't know if that works into it, but he is of course getting in the name conversation, the timeline stuff as well. But as of right now, I think it really is, and that's just the Spurs fan base as well. The best fan base in the league. I mean, should we address our outfit, the Spurs fan base? We thought we were running back to Fiesta colors for game 2, chat. What's going on? That was such a great setup, but I don't know. IT was sending us clips of certain Spotify Ringer podcast employees talking about how it was gimmicky, how it looked like a parade. Hey, yo, chat, I mean, parades aren't a bad thing in the NBA, I don't think. I think you want to be the team with the parade at the end of the year, but that's not even the point. The point is it just looks sick. Again, Spurs fan hyperbole here. Objectively, one of the coolest things in the NBA this year, but I would beg to argue the coolest looking environment that has ever been a part of any sports thing, chat. I don't know. I couldn't design it better myself, if I'm being honest. Actually, there is one. I'd say there is one thing. There is one minor little thing that they could have done, and this is just a personal. This is a personal preference. Oh, we got Chris Murray for 3, but is he getting the offensive rebound? Stumble into the basket. I guess he didn't smack his face on the ground like Wemby did, but still he turned it over. Vassell, though, not able to get the layup to go. Shots at the basket. They're getting looks. They're just not quite getting them to drop right now. So, keeping it with 6, I guess, is not too bad. And the free throws are keeping him in it at this point. Oh, Shaedon Sharpe with the block on Castle. Hey, yo. A couple of dunk contest participants right there going up for the at-rim opportunity there. I guess Shaedon Sharpe jumping from behind. So if it was Castle with Shaedon Sharpe straight, I guess Shaedon Sharpe probably wouldn't have jumped. He probably would have just gotten out of the way. But either way, what are we saying about the Spurs? We still have belief that they at least can. I would still think that they could, again, obviously win against the Blazers being a more even team. I guess that wouldn't be the matchup, like we were saying. They would probably be against the Rockets or against the Lakers or something in the first round. That would still, it could still go 6. With the Rockets, it could go 7. Could we take this Rockets team in 7 without Wemby? Heck yeah, chat. Let's do it. But I guess, we were talking about the Fiesta colorways as well too. We're going to be bragging about that. I hope we run that back. There's no way we're not going to. And especially if this game is too close, I don't know if it's going to become a superstition thing. The teams will lean into that. We saw that with Cleveland in their championship run in 2016. Of course, they had to go with the black short sleeve jerseys instead of the traditional whatever. I don't even remember what, the Cavs jerseys would have been in that era, because those just are now the defining. I guess they had the yellows, the whites, and then just the maroon, I guess, is the other color, right? The red. They just had those colorways at the time, because now I guess, and are they wearing the throwback now, the 2000s one for the playoffs as well to the Blues? But I feel like they've gone a little bit darker with the numbers as well too, in like the Mitchell era, so that maybe just gives the jersey a little bit of, obviously, an overall just darker aesthetic. But for that Cleveland run, again, that just becomes the iconic jersey that they had, and I guess it kind of worked. Because of course, ultimately, maybe it was LeBron and Kyrie as well too. And LeBron didn't even like the jerseys. He would be like ripping at the sleeves and like making them super, like he's like, my arms can't even fit in these jerseys. Like I have to rip the sleeves off. Like I'm Superman over here. But I guess, if anybody's arms, I guess, are going to be too big, I guess it would be LeBron's. But, again, I feel like the Spurs with their Fiesta colorways could do that. And they are, like, this aesthetic is great as well too. Obviously it's the classic Spurs aesthetic, so there is just a vibe to this. Shout out, the fan base looks great. It just gives, obviously, like that classic Spurs era type of game, and brings back, of course, the vibes of the Big Three. But even when Duncan first got there, when it was just like the Duncan sort of Robinson run, And then, Parker, and they draft Ginobili, I think, in 99, but of course he doesn't get to the league in a couple years. And then I want to say they draft Parker in 01, but, regardless, he gets that first ring without him, where it's him and Robinson and Sean Elliott and Avery Johnson. But for that Spurs era, it was a little bit more of the Fiesta colorway aesthetic as well, too. And, it's just like and even the era before that, it was, this kind of Spurs classic silver, black and white color tones, but just in a, different, obviously 70s design. Castle with the follow dunk. And now the Spurs, have they tied it up at 42? With 4.5 left in the second quarter. Here we go. Okay, we're bringing it back. Shout out. But, it just like every era of the Spurs has kind of had a unique aesthetic, like we're saying. And I guess you could kind of just make that early Tim Duncan Robinson era. You could probably call that late David Robinson era as well, too. Would make total sense. So if you just went from the George Gervin era to the David Robinson era to the Tim Duncan era, and now this Wemby era would be like this updated Fiesta aesthetic. I mean, again, it would be great. It would make sense. It'd be perfect to have the highlights and the clips and stuff all be, I guess, kind of individual to themselves. And it is fun, as well, too, to just see some of the iconic jerseys in the iconic things just not changing over time as well. You think of like Lakers Celtics battles and how, basically those two teams have kind of stayed in the same version of their jerseys and uniforms and courts and all that stuff. And, to kind of the matchups look the same basically throughout NBA history. But, for the Spurs, I think they could definitely own this new aesthetic. And like I said, it could be good luck as well, too. It could just straight up be good luck for this team. So I guess that's what we're rocking right now. That's what we've got on at the moment. We just decided to wear all the colors. It is what it is. I swore I had a pink shirt. And maybe we'll have to wear it for the next game. I don't know. But I guess we couldn't locate it in time for this one. But the pink hat will have to do for now. The teal shirt, I guess we got a little orange shirt situation as well, too. I don't think we're missing anything. I think with the Fiesta colorways, I think that is the move. And I think that maybe for game ones, we could see that as well, too. Again, if we keep talking about a potential Western Conference Finals matchup, make no mistake, we're just going to jinx it. It is what it is. But, I guess even a Spurs-Denver matchup would be crazy. We do have to give the Denver fans credit. Like, the Denver Arena is... Denver Arena is, and I mean no disrespect to the Denver fans, this is a compliment. The Denver Arena is a second team contender, for sure, for all NBA arenas. The Spurs Arena, if we, depending on who is in the voting process, it might be like a high second team. It might end up as like the sixth arena environment in the league. But, obviously for us, it's number one. It is what it is, a first team all environment. And I think at its peak, it definitely is as well, too. It's just us, I guess, not being in the playoffs for the last decade, where we're not seeing that environment in the high-level games, where it just falls down the ranking again, just because you're not as familiar with it in those playoff moments recently. But either way, I think that Spurs definitely get on. But like we're saying, the Warriors, or the Warriors for sure, but OKC as well is definitely a first-team all-environment. So of course, I mean, we've obviously been texting with Billy Buckets about it with the playoffs starting. I mean, I think he's just saying that he's worried about the Spurs because he's trying to make us feel good, but whoa. But either way, he's trying to, I guess, encourage our fandom. We gotta work on our grammar. But either way, I mean, Jokic is, of course, very scary as well, too. We do have to just put that out there. Like, you do have to be worried about Jokic. So, and obviously there's that public factor as well, where nobody is hesitant about the fact that this is the Spurs year. And I, always hate to be the voice of reason when it goes against our team. And, it's games like this where it takes, I guess, a half for us to get the lead in the first round. Again, this game could still be very, very positive in our favor in the end result. If we win this game by a half a point or whatever, if we win this game by a point, obviously at the end of the day, it's still the same thing. The basketball math will still take the 2-0 lead in the series. But like I said, just at least watching it compared to what, OKC did in their first game, there was, of course, just that visual of how dominant each individual team could look. And, of course, in all their game ones, OKC looked the most dominant. And the Spurs have gone on another little bit of a run here after the timeout as well. So 47-42 now. It's a 5-point lead. Hey, yo. Champagny with a 3. So this could, again, even go better than we thought. Boston is still in trouble, quote unquote, down 4 as the fourth quarter starts. I mean, I still think we would trust Tatum and Brown down 4, but regardless, I don't know if we would have expected that to be the score, though Derek White does hit the 3 there. I guess we do have the scorecard covered up, but that is what cuts to 4 there. Okay, I would have assumed. The live feed was a little bit behind. Pause, that's just the way it is. But Holiday taking Cornette to the basket. Tough shot for Drew Holiday. Still got to give him, obviously, his props for being a feisty playoff contender. But, for, I guess, I don't even know what we were saying before that. It doesn't matter. I guess we didn't even get to George Gervin's first playoff game. And I know we left everybody wondering on that. But him and Dr. J is obviously a terrifying combo. Let's just see what is going on here. Oh, and this is actually, I guess this goes back to what we were talking about with the experience, with the fact that nobody is seeming to bring that up as a factor for at least just being hesitant of what this team could accomplish. And it looked like Dr. J, 8 for 15, 20 points in his playoff debut with Virginia. A 6-point loss to Utah. The Utah Stars, is that who they were back in the day? Did they have Malone? I think they drafted Malone, but I don't think he ever played for them. It is what it is. But we got the Sports Illustrated book of basketball. There is like a picture of like rookie, maybe is it? It's got to be rookie Moses Malone. I guess we might be opening up the book of basketball tonight. The Sports Illustrated one, maybe the Simmons one as well too. If he's criticizing the Fiesta colorway, we got to go see what chapter that is in the book of basketball. But the Sports Illustrated one, because there is a picture of Moses Malone. We got to find this picture, rookie Moses Malone, where he just shout out obviously every era that Moses Malone played in. He was a baller his entire career. One of the greats that Moses Malone, I guess, shout out the legend. We better spell his name right. Rest in peace. But for, of course, his career, one of the more dominant centers in the league. Always an athlete. But I mean, I guess I'm sure the transformation storylines were there. But like an early Giannis type of career where it seemed like he entered the NBA, and I guess we didn't watch him like if he was like playing a guard as the center in the NBA. But yeah, it just seemed like, he entered the NBA obviously as, a teenager, or I guess the ABA, and then, bulked up over the course of his career. I guess Embiid-ish, they got a picture of Embiid here, but Embiid was a big guy, when he entered the league. Like Giannis was obviously the other way. Like he was legitimately a skinny guy. And now Giannis is, peak of his powers, one of the most terrifying forces that the league has ever seen. But again, we gotta go see what that YouTube channel has. Hey yo, shout out again. We didn't name the channel; he named it. It's Just a Black Guy on YouTube. That's the channel we're trying to promote. It has great NBA playlists on there. If you go look up the playlist, he's got every era organized, and it's all great content and full games and highlight packages and really great scope of the league history. But that is the name of the channel. So if you want to look it up, I guess that's the way to do it. Or you could look up Joe Johnson era and just go find that channel that made that playlist, and then you can watch it that way. But I guess we got to watch Moses Malone Utah Stars era, because it's just like, hey yo, an athlete. I guess back in the day, who knows? But again, still one of the great athletes throughout the course of his career as well too. But I guess just Moses Malone highlights in general need to be something that we get in the rotation. I mean, of course, you get Moses and Dr. J together there in Philly, so that's pretty great legendary combos to go back and watching in those type of full game scenarios. But either way, I guess I don't know exactly what. I do know what the picture is if I saw it, but I don't see it here. I don't know if are we gonna start getting to the point where we get the book out and like turn to the page and like, hey, this is the picture. That it's like, hey, yo. Like, I feel like I feel like we're just getting older. But I was gonna say, I feel like we're going backwards in time. I guess, you get older, but as you get older, you go forward in time. But as you get older, mentally, you go backward in time. I guess, hey, yo. It is what it is. Is that how aging works, Chad? Are we figuring it out? So we're going to be getting books out and showing you pictures that are in books? I don't even read. But it is what it is. It's just a sign. So, yeah, apparently Google doesn't have this image. They have an image of Marcus Smart here. What's it say? Moses Malone I don't know why it has a picture of Marcus Smart on the Moses Malone passes away article. Because, I mean, would Marcus Smart have even been on the Bullets when Moses Malone passed away? What year did he? I guess rest in peace, the legend. I guess we're not gonna necessarily look up too much of that there. Hey, yo, we got the internet back up? Okay, yeah, we just accidentally shut everything down there. Let's see what is going on. Okay, yeah, so I guess shout out to the 72-73 Utah Stars. 75 is when he got there. Did they fall apart quickly? They were 55 wins that year. 74, 75, 18 a game. Third in Rookie of the Year voting, 14 and 13. But again, 19 years old. Was he the first? Was he the first high school to pro guy? Because yeah, he didn't play college. Petersburg, in Petersburg, Virginia. And I guess, again, rest in peace, passed away in 2015. I don't even know. Was Marcus Smart in the league in 2015? He may have been at OK State at that time, but I don't even know if he had been drafted. Maybe he was 2015 draft. But Moses Malone's first playoff game, 8 for 12 from the field, 19 points. Again, I guess that was his first, or no, that's his first game overall. Oh, were we looking at George Gervin's first game instead of his first playoff game? Hey, yeah, we might have to do a fact check. First playoff game for Moses Malone, 25 points. 10 for 16, we're going to sneeze. Whoa. Oh, sorry, chat. Hey, yo. Our bad on that one. But Moses Malone, 30 points in game 3. I guess 3 for 8. Is this the Wemby 3 for 8 game right here, game 2? But, Malone played 37 minutes in that one. Wemby obviously not out for the return of the second half. No surprise there. And if it's still close, again, there's probably no need to rush him back if it wasn't going well. But it goes into halftime tied. So that's, even from where it was with Wemby early on, with the Blazers taking a little bit of a lead. I mean, Scoot probably is not going to score 13 points a quarter, would be my guess. Maybe in another quarter he gets another 13 as well. That'd be, again, 26 for the game. Shout out. It'd be a historic night for the Henderson family. But, if the Blazers as the team were making up the scoring elsewhere as well too, that wouldn't necessarily be the most surprising thing in the world there. But I was just watching a clip of this guy. I guess shout out. We should have got the name of the channel, but he was talking about Wemby's first playoff game. But the point was more so about how far do guys make it in their first playoff run, and it is very legit. I mean, you go the other way as well too, where you look, the guys that have made it for those crazy playoff runs have been Magic, and I think the two that he mentioned were Magic and Bill Russell. And I was like, okay, I've heard enough. Hey, yo, Wemby, he's Magic, and he's the next Magic, he's the next Bill Russell. And those were great teams as well too. Like we said, hopefully the Spurs team is also a great team, and not just LeBron in the earliest Cavs years, or Luka in that first Dallas series against the Clippers, where it's like, okay, Luka can go crazy and have good numbers, but is that Mavs team really at that? Do they have the same playoff expectations, going in that the Spurs have in this run? But like we were saying, even for OKC, the year that they didn't win, the year that Doncic did end up making his playoff run, OKC hadn't really had that collective run together. Shea had some playoff moments, but they hadn't had that collective playoff run together yet. And, in some ways the Mavs were just really on fire, hitting corner threes. PJ Washington. There were some game plan things that just really went in their favor that series. That do you look at it and go, oh, we're the Thunder inexperienced per se. But regardless, it did take some kind of learning curve and some kind of early playoff exit before they were able to get over and they were able to finally make that playoff run. And there's no shame, obviously. Hey, I guess if we have to wait till Wemby's 4th season for him to win the title, I guess it is what it is. If he doesn't deliver in year 3, are we going to be too disappointed as Spurs fans? But again, it is how the league is aligned this year as well, too, more so than just where the Spurs are at in their timeline. But that does matter. And even if the one team that stands in their way is OKC, and, again, that's extreme. That counts out Jokic. Edwards just won a game against Jokic. So, it counts out Edwards as well, too. Counts out Luka. Counts out, everybody else that's in the playoffs. Counts out the Eastern Conference teams that keep from winning the finals. But, if we're just talking about even them making the finals as well, too, and getting out of the Western Conference, just as long as we make it farther in the playoffs than Billy Bucket's team, we're good to go. Shout out. As long as we have the team that went the farthest in the friend group, that is what matters. But obviously, then a championship really, really matters as well, too. Those things are, really, really close together. It's more the consolation prize of if you don't win, then at least you made it farther in the playoffs than, your best friend's team. That's a good consolation prize is a better way to phrase it. But, either way, even if that is the team, that's all it takes. That's all it takes is the one team to derail your title hopes. And I guess, obviously at the end of the day, the Lakers back in the day didn't keep the Spurs away from too much winning. You look at that old Spurs dynasty and everyone's like, oh, the Spurs never won back-to-back. Well, it's like we won 3 out of 5. So, every other year for 5, we won. And then, you guys know how every other year works. But, that's still about as dynastic as you can get. I get it. It's not 2 in a row. And they made 2 in a row as well, too, in 13-14. But 3 out of 5 is still pretty crazy. So, dynasty confirmed. But, the Lakers are the only team in the league that's better than them. And it's like, hey, the Lakers are the team that's winning the finals that year, not San Antonio. And, again, looking back, the comfort of like, oh, yeah, we had 5 years. We had 5 different title seasons at the end of the day. But we don't know that with this team. And maybe we get in the trap of that. I don't know if that is a trap that Spurs fans have, because I think Spurs fans are just, they just genuinely love the team and the competitive nature of the team as well, too. It's not just that the team is in a good position to make a run at something. It's that this team is just incredibly fun to watch. It's got guys that play, really, really hard. It's got, guys that are really talented as well, too, and just crazy entertaining, obviously. But, there's just an appreciation for what the team is when they're cheering for them. It's not, again, just all based on straight up the success level. It's why it is one of the best environments. It's why it's the best environment in, I guess, arguably in sports. Again, we have sort of the mix of different cities in our sports fandom. So, and, San Antonio, I guess, respectfully doesn't have all the sports other cities as well, too. So it's not like, again, it's a different type of competition. If we were just all in on all the Indianapolis Colts fans, then, if we say the Colts fans are the best fans, the Patriots fans, it's all the same thing. But again, unfortunately for us, we do have the split city situation, some long distance fandom relationships, but we can make it work. Like the people of San Antonio don't know they're connected to the people of Ann Arbor, but they're both the best fan bases in the world, and the people of Indianapolis. Like, it's all in the REMINGTOM pod fandom family, officially, unofficially. But Scoot Henderson, I guess 19, so 20 points for Scoot Henderson in the first half. A third of his team points. Hey, yo, they do have 57 points. So Wemby, hey, yo, they just showed his name there, saying that he wasn't playing. Yeah, we know. But Scoot Henderson, 6 for 8, 20 points is pretty crazy. Getting to the free throw line. -4 when he's out there. So, unfortunately, his team is still losing when he's playing well. But we'll take the playing well part. It is what it is. It's a good sign for him early on. Harper with 4 points in the first half. Castle leading the way with 12. Vassell 3 for 8. And Wemby 3 for 4 from the free throw line. I guess Vassell and then Harper getting to the free throw line as well too. Though the Blazers did end up getting more. It looks like just slightly better 3-point percentage for San Antonio, though, in the first half. So, yeah, we obviously have to wait for an official report on Wemby as well, too, to see what is going on here. But 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, 89-87. Tatum's got 19. Jaylen Brown has 30, but Derek White 3 for 12. He will have a night, chat. He will have a 3 for 12 kind of night. Paul George is, a little bit in the way back machine. What's the not way back machine? The close back machine. Pause. Hey, yo. -6 on the court. VJ Edgecombe, though, 27. Maxey, 23. There you go. I mean, again, if Philly goes into Boston and wins one, I mean, the Philly fans are going to be crazy. And then do they expect to win a second one in Philly as well, too? So 6 games would be quite the surprise. We got Drummond with a 3 for 3, 8 and 6 type of night, being productive there in the absence of Embiid. Bona with the start. Hey, yo, 0 for 4 from the field in his minutes. So I guess he's trying, but unfortunately for him, it looks like Drummond may be the more productive guy. Just based on the box score, I guess we got to watch this one now that the Spurs game is in halftime. And Oubre as well, too, hasn't necessarily gone crazy with the field goal attempts, but he is 4 for 9. I guess he just is missing his threes as well, too, which explains why he's only got the 9 on the 4 makes. But yeah, ayo, Edgecombe being the lead rookie playoff guy as well, too, in a sense, because I guess he is kind of the forgotten rookie of the way he was playing earlier in the season, kind of being was he the best one to start? Because again, Knuppel was very strong to start the season, and I guess was it just Cooper Flagg was injured for a while there? I'm trying to remember exactly the timeline for his start of the season, and then Harper as well too. I think was dealing with some sort of situation, and then had to just gradually work his way into the lineup as well too. The first, I guess here, can we see? Is there like a Rookie of the Month award that he might have won? And I don't know if they've announced the all-rookie lineup quite yet. But yeah, 3rd pick in the draft as well, too. All-American. Oh, March Rookie of the Month. Hey, so he even doubled back, I guess, and won it later. He didn't even win the earlier Rookie of the Month. Did Knuppel just take off right after that and win? But again, it was the hype as well, too. Because maybe Knuppel was a little bit more projected in year one to kind of play well, and it's just like, VJ being an immediate impact offensive guy was a little bit more surprising there. But yeah, even a later Rookie of the Month, 43% from the field, 35% from 3, 16 a game for him this year. So again, he should probably get first team all-rookie honors, if anything. But just with the way the Spurs were playing, and Harper is playing fantastic as well, too. Again, really important piece of the lineup, even if he's not always, like, the highest number guy on the box score. But, hey, yo, and Durant's still a game-time decision for Game 2. They just show him warming up right now. Right knee contusion. Imagine, chat. Imagine if he ducks LeBron. He's like, okay, if he just saw the Wemby game plan, he's like, I have to face plant at minute 4, and then I can miss the rest of this game. Why doesn't Durant want to play LeBron? Hey, yo, Durant, get out there. You're good against LeBron. It's fine. Don't be... The man's 41. He's old. You'll be okay. But, again, for VJ to step up in the playoffs, obviously, that is pretty crazy. I guess 30-point playoff rookies. Do we have to look at that? And you would think it would probably be guys that would be more in a number 1 type role. Again, Knuppel does, of course, find himself being as part of he makes it a more successful offensive unit, but a unit with successful offensive players. we should say, for that Charlotte team before he really gets there. But, is he really like the #1 scorer on that Charlotte team? But still, it wouldn't be surprising if he ended up dropping a 30-piece in a playoff game. But, again, it would obviously be like, LeBron early on, Wade or something. One of those guys, Melo, being a lead guy in a playoff series, maybe even just high volume as well, I guess. But he was playing efficient, though. I mean, he's just taking shots because, he's making them. 11 for 19, 5 for 9 from the field. So I guess if he gets to 30, if he gets a couple free throws, he could get to 30 on less than 20 shots. That might be a game then. And he hasn't even been to the free throw line tonight, so still room to improve. Maxey only 0 for 1 as well. 9 assists for Maxey, both of them with 2 steals. So active on both end of the court there. And, low on the, between the two of them, low on the turnovers. If VJ can use Maxey's assist there to kind of help boost both of the performances. And then, again, I know we're making fun of Paul George for being -4, but he has seemed like he has just been a pretty good connector tonight. And I know, again, 19 points. Is Paul George going to be that guy that is, the lead scorer for a playoff team? Paul George versus Jason Tatum playoff battle 2026. But, again, you get excited about a guy just finding a role and playing well, and then it's like, he's making $50 million. Now we have to criticize him again. But okay, we get it. Paul George is making a lot of money, and the league should be equally equivalent for your PER ranking to your salary. Like, that would be nice. Your win shares to your salary, if it was just all flexible, that would be, I guess, the best way that everybody would get paid. I guess it doesn't work like that. Sometimes somebody gets accidentally a $50 million check, and they just don't quite have the box score afterwards to live up to it. And like we said, it is okay to get paid on past performances. Like, every other profession is based on past, and not every other. Obviously there is like the, hey, you're gonna do this, hopefully bringing you in to do this. I guess performance incentives as well too. That you have to earn in certain jobs, but a lot of jobs are, here is what I have done. Now I should be, and it gets like maybe bosses would look at it more like, here's what you've proven you can be, and I guess that would be the NBA salary contract way to look at it as well, too. Again, you don't want it to be like, here's what I've done, now I'm going to go and not do it anymore. But if a guy, again, if biology gets in the way, like if Father Time steps in and just like, well, Paul George not quite going to be the same player anymore. It is what it is. And if Father Time just happens to step in while Paul George is on that $50 million contract, like, how much you going to blame him? How much are you going to blame him? Because, again, the man did earn that $50 million contract. Is he earning his next $50 million contract? I don't know about that one. But at least this one is, you can't be overly critical. You can't be overly critical. It is what it is. It happens. It happens. If Wemby down the line is making $130 million a year in 2045 or however, whatever the NBA salary cap is at that point, or, obviously after societal collapse, and Wemby's just playing for the love of the game at this point. But, if the salary cap keeps growing as projected, there might be a point where it's like, Steph Castle, I don't know if the next 4 years, if he's going to be the same player, but don't forget it. Don't forget about the fact that he's been on how many all defenses and the playoff successes, and that MVP votes in there a couple times. Like, okay, yeah, that's fine. Let's actually give him the money because he's been an amazing basketball player, and it's okay if he earns a few dollars for that. Shout out. We're pro getting the bag on the Rim and Sam pod for the NBA guys. It is what it is. Am I going to sit here and say that, Jason Tatum should get paid more than a firefighter? That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that in the economy of the NBA, whatever the numbers may be, it's okay if a guy is earning at his max potential in that, to some degree. There are, well, I guess we got to finish what we're saying. Pause. There are circumstances where it's okay if a guy is earning at his max potential and not necessarily playing at his max potential at the same time. Again, maybe not every year, every scenario, every circumstance, but there are circumstances where it is okay. And I think Paul George is one of those circumstances. And you look back, maybe this contract he is on was one of those contracts where you're looking at it like, I don't know if I guess again, based on the previous one, it would have been looking forward, being like, how is he gonna be over those next couple of years? And that's where Embiid was at too. So I would, I guess that's what we're saying. That's the perspective that I do hesitate sometimes to, criticize too much teams for doing. And again, I like the Clippers were an example of a team that didn't want to, commit extra time. They were willing to commit a certain dollar amount, but didn't want to commit the, 4-year versus the 3 or whatever. There are smart ways that teams can navigate that as well too. Again, maybe don't give every guy that's 38 years old a 5-year max deal. Again, I mean, if he's earned the whatever money I'm saying, maybe again he's earned it for 2.5. Can you give him a 2.5-year contract or something like that? Guaranteed we're trading him at the deadline. But I guess the point is, give Paul George a break. Give Embiid a break. If they're making a lot of money in the NBA, it's okay. It's okay. Sorry, Philly fans. You have to pay him for a while. It is what it is. I guess, and again, for Paul George, for Philly specifically, I guess it's not like Indiana is like overpaying Paul George. Like we were saying, if we were overpaying, Wemby and Steph Castle after all the memories, I guess there is that. If we're bringing in Bronny James in year 17 on a $65 million contract, and then it's like, oh well, I guess we have to sign. That's how we get 75-year-old LeBron, right? But if it's just if it's a guy that doesn't have that time spent with the organization, then it is a little bit of a different scenario. But again, shout out to Paul George for getting the bag. Shout out to podcast. I almost called him Playoff P. Hey, Podcast P. But Indiana, Pacers Paul George was Playoff P, right? I mean, he was definitely balling out there. The Pacers were a little bit mismatched for sure against those Heat teams. So the fact that they were pushing them to the level that they were was impressive. Oh, and Cornette just got denied by Kamara. I think he's a fan of Magic City, chat. He's not liking what Cornette was saying. And Cornette, with that layup attempt, he's like, get that out of here. Hey, he thought that basketball was Cornette's opinions. And I guess he just swatted it away. It is what it is. But De'Aaron Fox falling down to the basket. So Philly does get the win, chat. Philly does get the win. Oh, Edgecombe, 30 on 20 shots. He does get there. He got a 3. He got a 3, so 20 exactly. But still, seems like a pretty crazy performance. This is like old school looking up stats, chat. Hey, it's going to make a sign in. I thought I signed in advance. I thought I was doing the work. Hey, let's see if we can get logged in here and going. Hey, okay, let's see if we can find the game finder, I guess, for the players. Okay, I don't know why it's saying we're logged in, but hey, IT, are you paying the bill? Oh, chat, we may have to have a conversation with IT after this. It is what it is. Okay, I guess can Gemini tap into the sports reference page for us? We'll have to see about that. But who knows? Stay tuned for the next episode when we figure out where VJ Edgecombe's performance ranks and I guess rookie scoring. I guess, after what Castle does tonight, where's he at right now? In the start of the third. I guess still probably at 10, 12. That's right. He's at 12. 5 for 13 though, unfortunately, but more on his shoulders. Though Fox versus Maxey, though obviously, the Sixers wouldn't trade Maxey for Fox right now. It is what it is, but that's respectfully. It's just Sixers fans love Maxey. That's the only reason, right? It is what it is. But yeah, shout out to Philly. So we do have, again, we'll see a couple of minutes. I guess not a couple of minutes. We have a ways to go. How long before Durant announces he's also out for Game 2? We will have to see. Will he feel the need to return and save the team? I guess Doncic, just the team leader there, obviously listed it out as well too. 50.8% chance win percentage for the Lakers right now. 49.2. So, does Durant make it a 50 plus for the Rockets then? if he's in, or I guess he's not listed as out in the injury report. So with Durant in, the Lakers without Luka and Austin Reeves are still at a 50% chance to win. Again, it's like, well, yeah, 50, every game's 50-50. But it's, I could see on the win percentage anyways, Rockets maybe being up into at least the high 50s. 59%, 69%, something along those lines. They are, they're minus 5.5 right now. So I don't know. We need to bet the Lakers plus 5.5. That might be smart though anyways. Bet the home team to keep it close. Though, of course, the Rockets are going to have that Game 2 desperation as well. And yeah, Wemby officially ruled out, I guess, with concussion protocol. So makes total sense. Again, hopefully he is okay and able to just collect himself, get ready for the next game. Shake it off. But, I mean, I guess concussion protocol for the NFL is a week-long thing. So in the NBA, you don't have the week break between the games. They do have a little bit of an extra break because, I guess, the travel. So is that going to be a 2 or 3 game break? But maybe he has to miss a game too as well with that concussion. Again, it's not the same schedule. If you're in concussion protocol on Sunday, is it smart if you play the Thursday night game? Again, if you're Cooper Kupp, I mean, if Sean McVay was coaching the Spurs, then Wemby might have been out there and he might be out here in the second half. But for now, he might be out. And again, depending on what happens in the second half, if it's close, would you list him as out or would you bring him up? Like, just in case, we'll list him as active, but if we don't need him, we won't sub him in. I mean, why not? Right? Because who else are you going to activate, I guess, would be... obviously, everybody on the team's great. So, yeah, everybody getting an opportunity. We wouldn't want to poo-poo that. But either way, we got, like we said, a 2001 redraft to get to while we get to the second half of this Spurs-Blazers game and while we approach, I guess, Rockets versus Lakers as well, too. We'll catch a little bit of the start of that. But like we said, it is draft week this week, so we will be live during the NFL draft Thursday night. We got the schedule right for that one? I think so. But we will be following along, looking at the prospects, looking at the draft boards, and, seeing how the players fits, pause for the teams, the trades that go down. I'm sure there's going to be some crazy ones that happen. I guess it's not guaranteed, in the NFL draft that there would be crazy trades, especially, I guess, maybe some Ty Simpson trade back up into the first round potential. I don't know. And then, if anything, Jeremiah Love to the Titans. I feel like if Jeremiah Love doesn't go to the Titans, then just every time I've looked at ESPN at work the last couple, what do we mean? The TVs over the bar, every time we've looked up at those, they've just been mock drafting Jeremiah Love to the Titans. It's just like every show. It's like, why is Kendrick Perkins talking about Jeremiah Love to the Titans? I don't know. But I guess Jeremiah Love is going to the Titans. It has to happen. But we're going to be looking, speaking of running backs, I guess, maybe not the Tennessee Titans. No, not quite. TCU Chargers. It is what it is. Tomlinson. We'll be going back 25 years to an iconic draft, the 2001 NFL draft. It's got some great names, some great personalities. We get to go back and see what happened 25 years ago in that draft as we look forward to this next one. And like we said, as we work through these Tuesday night playoff games. So don't go anywhere, chat. 2001 redraft up next. All right, here we are, chat. Let's look back 25 years later at the 2001 NFL Draft, like we said, on Draft Week here for 2026. I guess there's, a lot of different anniversary drafts that we could have gone back and reviewed, but this is a fun one with trades, of course, with the personalities that are selected as well, too. Some of the other sleeper names that ended up in this draft. But as we have a little bit of a break here, like we said, for the second NBA game. So while we have Spurs Blazers on one of the TVs, tied still at 68, they threw up a 9-hour replay of the 2001 NFL draft. So I think this is just the whole thing. Hey, yo, I didn't expect to find that. But, shout out to IT. It is what it is. So immediately, as you would on draft night, if this type of thing happened, they started with, of course, Mike Vick goes number 1 to Atlanta. But, hey, yo, Chad, it's going to be weird doing an NFL redraft of the playoff game. Make no mistake. With an NBA playoff game on in the background. And Dylan Harper's hitting little pull-up jumpers. So we're going to be all over the place. It is what it is. Pause. But either way, like we're saying, Mike Vick ends up going number 1 to Atlanta. The main reason we're doing this redraft, of course, is because our guy Mike Vick is in this draft. Don't say it, chat. He apologized. But either way, our guy Mike Vick, the king of YouTube highlights. Mike Vick, the king of video games. And even just looking at the clips being played from the telecast, this 2001 draft telecast, and, going back and watching some recent, recently going back and watching some Mike Vick games from his Virginia Tech days. There's a Virginia Tech Florida State game. There's a Virginia Tech Miami game that's on YouTube. There's a couple of them, but either way, that era for sports aesthetic, there is something about it, and even the NBA as well too. I know we were talking about our eras and the YouTube channel we've shouted out many times, but that 2000, that early 2000s era, and maybe it is us subconsciously trying to defend Tim Duncan as well too. Am I just now realizing this? But there is something about that post-Duncan era, or the post-Jordan era, where, as Duncan is the best player in the league, but even Shaq and Kobe are in their first run at that point. Like, that league, and right before LeBron in that 2003 draft, that 98 to 2003, but maybe even 2005, 2006. Do we push it even to 2007? Because then, if you go like the Lakers titles in there, and then a Celtics title, and then, what do you have, the Dirk run against the Heatles, LeBron makes a move. Like, the NBA does kind of scale up a little bit in terms of the storylines. You do have to admit that. It becomes a little bit of a bigger product, and those star players are a part of that. But, that early 2000s aesthetic in the NBA is just iconic. And those games are great to watch, and there is just something about those players. Again, I don't know, like Jason Kidd. Hey, yo. Like, Jason Kidd doesn't get the respect of, like, was he the second best player in the NBA at one point? Was he the best player in the NBA at one point? And say what you will about, like, what does that mean for the league if Jason... It's like, I don't know, there's just a bunch of fun guys from that time that, again, was the league suffering post-Jordan? Like, give him a break. Again, maybe, just because the entire fan base was in a post-Jordan depression doesn't mean that the NBA wasn't good. And I think maybe looking back as non-biased NBA... Again, even watching NBA through the prism of the NBA now, where you could say, I don't know, the free-flowing nature of it, the three-point, the spacing, like, there are elements of the game, especially, in sort of, after we've made it through the three-point renaissance and kind of worked some of the mid-range and the center play, back in, obviously not post-play, but the unicorn centers playing the game now, there is a more complete aesthetic to the 2020s basketball than maybe, like, 2017, 18, 19 sort of range. But there is, again, just something even about the style of play from those guys that is fun as well, too, because it is a little bit, like, the three-point volume, obviously not as much. But because we're back into a little bit more of a drive and the slashing and some of that stuff is important, like, that's what basketball was back then. Congested post-ups for sure. But especially the guards at that time as well, too. Again, we mentioned Kidd. Kidd was a great slasher for sure. But, the athletes, guys, and, again, maybe the 04 Olympics is not great for all those guys. But Baron Davis. I don't know everybody on that roster, but I'm just saying like Baron Davis, Marbury, Francis, like a bunch of those guys that are just incredibly fun to watch as well too. Steve Francis, we might be queuing up Steve Francis highlights after this. I don't know why I looked over at Jamal Murray and thought of Jameer Nelson for some reason. I guess that would be Dwight Howard, like Jameer Nelson era highlights. Has anybody ever queued up Jameer Nelson era highlights? I guess where was he? He might have been UNC. I guess I don't know if we're gonna go back. But either way, we're talking about the 2001 NFL draft. It is what it is. I guess, but early 2000s college football as well too is great stuff. I would say 90s, obviously 90s college basketball is pretty difficult to beat, though. I mean, as I say it, I'm probably going to try to go back and now watch some early 2000s college basketball games as well, too. Richard Jefferson, Arizona team. Was that late 90s, though? That might have been late 90s because I guess early 2000s. He was making NBA Finals. Shout out. But, Richard Jefferson's like the 15th best player in the NBA. Respect the league. Hey, yo, shout out. But either way, talking about the NFL, again, in the NFL draft week, for looking back at 2001, queuing up like we said, the Atlanta pick here of Mike Vick. The first initial question is not, the redraft, the best player, all that stuff. I guess, obviously, it partially is. But this was a trade. The Atlanta Falcons traded up from number 5, which ended up being Tomlinson. So just in terms of name value, I mean, a draft day trade of Mike Vick for LaDainian Tomlinson has to be one of the great draft day trades of all time. And it does get really interesting as well, too, because the Chargers did end up taking Drew Brees in the second round. So, again, just one of the great drafts by the Chargers. But, Brees' career with the Chargers, obviously, he was good with the Chargers, for sure. We were not going to deny him that. But ultimately does become a Hall of Famer with the Saints, played more years with the Saints, for sure. Yeah, 15 years in New Orleans compared to 5 years in San Diego. So you literally could take his San Diego years away, no disrespect, just because of the time spent. Again, the 5 years. Like, good stats, all the different stuff. But you could take those years away, and the 15 years that he had in the Saints are a Hall of Fame 15 years in and of themselves. That's where he was more competitive for MVPs and stuff like that. His first year, I guess, in 06, second in MVP voting, first team All-Pro that year for quarterback. And maybe he is like that in San Diego anyways. But I honestly, and, again, as you see the Colts stuff here in the background, like, don't expect a lot of pro Drew Brees takes. And, Phillip Rivers had some upsetting the Colts playoff moments as well, too. So we were not necessarily pro Phillip Rivers until he just miraculously had this crazy Colts run at the end of the season here. And it was like, 40-year-old Phillip Rivers back off the couch playing again. This is awesome. But, I don't know if Phillip Rivers is one of the great quarterbacks of all time. Is he much worse than Drew Brees? Like, if Phillip Rivers is playing with Sean Payton, are they not? Would they win one Super Bowl? Again, does it play out the same way that it played out in New Orleans in that one season? Is there a different season that Phillip Rivers gets hot in a different way and, runs through a playoff run that way? But with his offense in mind and some of the, Peyton's offense in mind and some of the weapons they had there, it's obviously in the defense they had that year as well, too, in 10. And Greg Williams hunting guys out. Like, could Phillip Rivers have won a Super Bowl with Greg Williams hunting guys out on defense? Is basically the question. But, I mean, with the one, because you end up in that draft with the 1-2 combo of Tomlinson and Brees, again, that is just, that's not even disrespectful to Mike Vick to say that you'd rather take that. Again, even Tomlinson versus Vick is, respectfully a conversation as well, too. And it does, of course, go down to the quarterback versus the running back factor of it, and whether or not you think that ultimately you could win a Super Bowl with Mike Vick. And, it depends, of course, are you drafting the exact way the career played out and, there's going to be some missed seasons there, or is it a potential for, the career to, and again, hey, Mike Vick's one of our favorite players of all time. So we're not, again, what happened, and whatever, we're not saying anything about the Pro Football Reference page other than, it is what it is. But how it lays out. But for the debate of whether or not, the talent for winning at that type of level. I think in the playoff games, you could definitely discuss that. That is, I think he had there was like that Green Bay game where they played really well, and again, his opportunity to get into some of those playoff games in his prime years as well too, obviously, would have been awesome to see. But I don't, would San Diego have, knowing that Mike Vick was as awesome as he was in the NFL, would they trade back? And again, ultimately, if you're getting Drew Brees, I guess the question becomes, would you give up on Drew Brees in 2006? And I guess what did did they trade, or was that free agency? We can double check here how that ended up playing out. But, again, ultimately, bringing him in bringing in Phillip Rivers for the replacement there. So we're going, I guess, opposite in the timeline. Chargers signed. The Saints signed. So they franchise tagged him in 2005. So I guess we could go back and look if there was some type of, salary contract debate there as well too. And I guess Rivers was 2004 drafts, right? So yeah, he was even there a couple of years behind Drew Brees. Yeah, 2 seasons, and then in 2006 makes the Pro Bowl, 3,400 yards, 22 touchdowns, 9 picks. And, obviously didn't get the 5,000-yard years that Brees had. I mean, I think maybe, a tad better. Like, I think Brees is in that kind of barrier level from, and, maybe, again, this is our biased and, unfortunate fact that, I guess the Colts never got revenge. I don't know, on him. If there had been that 2013, 14 like Spurs run where the Colts rematch against the Saints and Peyton Manning gets revenge against Drew Brees, then maybe, we'd be able to look the other way. And I'm not going to lie, the Marshawn Lynch Beastquake run the next year where Seattle was able to get that upset playoff win, that was a very therapeutic moment for us. And it's one of the reasons that, Marshawn Lynch is a beloved player on this pod. But, again, unfortunately, we do have those unfortunate memories attached to Brees' career. But he is, I think, maybe in a football consensus, of course, in a barrier. And I'm saying, from the 6, 7, maybe 10 best quarterbacks of all time. Because I don't know if you would, if you're just drafting the football talent of guys like, again, obviously the top guys, I don't think we have to debate. But, you get to Steve Young, Elway, Moreno. I think maybe Brett Favre, you could debate. Advia from half court. Oh, that's the type of shot that he would make with the way he's been playing this series. Maybe Scoot Henderson needed to take that shot tonight. I don't know. Spurs still up 2. Fox full court down the court. Oh, not quite able to get the basket to go. But again, I think with the having Brees there for the 5 years and then transitioning to Rivers the way that they did, ultimately, I think, and yeah, I guess the question has become, you didn't win a Super Bowl with Brees or Rivers if you're the Chargers. So is that on them, obviously? Is that how they built out the team? I think it is a little bit more how they built out the team. And there was some injuries as well, too. Like, those teams with Rivers and Tomlinson were a little bit better than their record. It's an unfortunate reason why the Colts were matching up with them as early in the playoffs as they were. But I think that at least you would consider it, maybe just from the entertainment value of Vick, but Tomlinson, I think, again, speaking as that Chargers team upset the Colts 2 years in a row, but yeah, I think Tomlinson's a pretty beloved Charger, so I don't think that is he the best. I mean, he might be the best Charger of all time. I guess, is there a defender that I'm not thinking of? Merriman, can we go to the Chargers team page here? And see that Dan Fouts. Is Dan Fouts the best Charger of all time? Retired numbers, Junior Seau. Shout out. I can't believe I wasn't, rest in peace. I can't believe I wasn't thinking of Seau's name. Lance Allworth as well, too. Charlie Joyner. And then, yeah, Dan Fouts. If we're going for the retired numbers, Kellen Winslow as well, too. But I think it would, and, Seau was part of course, a lot of really competitive Chargers teams as well. So he had a very successful run there. He was there in 94 when they lost the Super Bowl, right? I don't remember exactly all the years for his career. Bieniemy at running back for the Chargers? Hey, yo, shout out. But I think Seau was reason why they were on this team? Yeah, first team All-Pro that year. 124 tackles, shout out. A 99-yard interception return, 2 interceptions, 4. Oh, that's Stanley Richard. Hey, yo, shout out to Stanley Richard, I guess, balling out at safety that year. But yeah, Seau, I guess here we can see quickly what Seau's career was. 90 to 2009. So yeah, I did know that as he played a good chunk in the 2000s, but yeah, the whole 90s as well too. Again, sometimes, I don't know, piece like Junior Seau going to college in the 80s. I don't know why for some reason that wouldn't have been my first guess. I would have guessed early 90s, but again, shout out to the legend. But yeah, it would basically be between Tomlinson and Seau, I think, as the greatest Chargers of all time. So I think Vick could have gotten there. Michael Vick could have gotten there for sure. Again, we're talking, they don't have Rivers, or he basically takes the Rivers career at that point, or Rivers gets drafted somewhere else. Do they just do the Brees thing with Mike Vick? Hey, yo, do they just draft Rivers in 04 anyways and then trade Mike Vick after that? Now all of a sudden they have the Mike Vick trade pieces, or Mike Vick signed somewhere else? Now we're in a Dave Damashek NFL what if alternate universe at this point. But, Mike Vick for Atlanta as well too. Like, he is probably the most iconic Falcon at this point. Julio Jones with the Falcons team Falcons team did make the Super Bowl. I guess Dion did play for the Falcons as well too. But if we're talking 21st century, he's the first guy you think of is Mike Vick. Again, with all due respect to Matt Ryan, like, Matt Ryan is statistically the better quarterback, but I don't even know with all due respect to Matt Ryan, this is even another Colts quarterback here. But, for the career that he did have, I don't know if it's, objective that you would take Matt Ryan's career over, Michael Vick's career. Again, there's not like a guaranteed Super Bowl that you're getting in the Matt Ryan run there. So, he did make it for sure. The league MVP, consistent for his entire career, a major part of it. But for Falcons retired numbers, Steve Bartkowski, William Andrews, Jeff Van Note, and Tommy Nobis are the 4 Falcons retired jerseys. Hey, yo, how long was Dion a part of the Falcons for? They just might have to retire his jersey just for being the coolest guy that's ever played for the Falcons. And, maybe the team would look better, again, if it was just like that, guys that have played for the Falcons. Again, Dion, Mike Vick, it starts to look a little bit different. He made 2 first-team All-Pros, I guess, with Atlanta, and he was there for 5 years. 5 years, 2 first-team All-Pros is not enough to get your number retired? You're Deion Sanders? Hey, yo. Does Deion have his number retired anywhere? Because he did play the 1 year in San Francisco, and then Dallas. How many years is that in Dallas? 5 years in Dallas as well, too, just because they have so many legendary guys. Have they gotten it yet in a 5-year span? There's probably other guys from that 90s Cowboys run, but I don't know. Once you get Emmett, Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, Larry Allen, and then after that, defensively, there was a guy that won a Super Bowl MVP there. Maybe you retire his number as well. Do we have a retired number? Have the Cowboys retired any numbers? Maybe they haven't, chat. Jerry Jones, retire a number. I guess obviously they haven't retired Michael Irvin's number because 88 gets passed down. So, and I don't know, Michael Irvin probably would not disapprove of them retiring his number, but I think he likes being brought up like that as well too. Like, it is at least in the Cowboy circles, I think, something, the receiver that gets 88, at least to Michael Irvin, it means something, the receiver that gets there. And again, Michael Irvin, if they hadn't retired, they would have retired Drew Pearson's number for sure. Again, Staubach, Bob Lilly. If we start going back into the 70s, hey, yo, in 80s, I guess there's so many jerseys here. I guess we got to search this. Let's see. Have the Cowboys retired any numbers? Let's see what's going on. No, the Cowboys have never officially retired any numbers. It said they honor players by inducting them into the Ring of Honor. Okay, so there you go. It is what it is. So there is a Team Hall of Fame that does exist, as you would expect key unofficial numbers. Oh, okay. So yeah, 88. Pearson, Irvin. Oh, Dez, of course, is the other guy that I'm thinking about that wore 88. So yeah, I mean, none of those three guys would have worn it because Pearson would have had it retired. He is a great receiver in his own right. But let's see, uniform numbers, training camps, executive, blown leads. Hey, yo, they have a blown leads page. Oh, approximate value. I guess we can see at least, all the good players here for Dallas. Dak Prescott, the 9th best player in Dallas history. Better than Michael Irvin and Larry Allen, Chuck Howley. Leroy Jordan, better than DeMarcus Ware. Oh, Chad, I mean, if anybody, DeMarcus Ware can't get his number retired, he might get his number retired in Denver, though, for that Super Bowl run. 94? Ooh, the 94 in Denver. 3 years, 2 Pro Bowls and a Super Bowl? It could. Von Miller, you imagine, gets his jerseys in the rafters. A 20-sack season for Dallas in 2008. 4 first-team All-Pros, 15.5 as well, too. 19.5 in 2011. I mean, DeMarcus Ware was pretty good, kids. DeMarcus Ware was a baller. He's in the Hall of Fame. The 94 needs to get retired. Maybe it's the unique numbers like that, the ones that haven't been doubled up at this point. Dorsett, 33. You got to retire 33 for sure. Like we said, Staubach and number 12. I guess does Prescott for the Cowboys get his number retired? Probably not. Jethro Pugh? Who is this guy? 1965 to 1978. But, either way. So, I guess we probably can't take away the best Charger from the Chargers, and we probably can't take away the most influential Falcon from the Falcons. But I guess we might end up taking the Charger away anyways, because I guess LaDainian, it wasn't a 1-2 swap. It was a 1-5 trade-up. So, again, I guess it was fortunate for the Chargers that the running back was there. And as I was thinking about that as well, too, again, I don't know exactly how hyped up LaDainian Tomlinson was. I don't know if it was like a, in conversation for number 1. I guess you're number 5. Like, it's close. But, again, like, Jeremiah Love is going to go potentially he's going to go number 4 to the Titans this year if ESPN says it right. But he'll be number 4, but it doesn't seem like he is quite the number. Like, he's definitely the athlete stuff is great. He was, super productive. But it does seem like, Mendoza for sure as a quarterback, I think is a little bit in his own tier. And then maybe there is another tier as well, too, with like Reese and Bailey. And I'll put Bain in that tier. And then, I don't know, maybe an offensive lineman or two. I guess I'd put Caleb Downs. And I guess I might have to put Jeremiah. If I'm putting Caleb Downs, I guess maybe I'd put Jeremiah Love in that tier. I don't know. So maybe it's just Mendoza that's in his own. But, either way, I guess it just does. I can't imagine a more confident number 5 running back in NFL history draft pick than LaDainian Tomlinson. And again, that is with the hindsight being 2020 and him being one of the best running backs of all time. And there have been obviously great running backs that have been super high draft picks and worked out. I know it's been the other way, and especially recently as well too, where guys, the running back position has had the value told that it has had. But again, there's a reason that teams were taking running backs for as long as they were. They were the fundamental, and then there's a reason that all the quarterbacks have the good stats today. I know that there is a legacy thing for individual guys. Again, like we were just talking about Staubach. A guy like Staubach is definitely, probably better than some guys that have more stats than him. But, there was also not a lot of great quarterback play up until the 2000s. Like, quarterback play was okay. So, it was a lot of teams built through running backs. And, like, Earl Campbell was a number 1 overall pick, and Earl Campbell's a Hall of Famer. Like, again, there are, Eric Dickerson, I want to say, was he a number 1 overall pick for the Rams? And then Marshall Faulk as well, too. Of course, both of those being Rams-Colts running back combo there. Oh, Eric Dickerson was number 2 in 83. Who was the number 1 pick? 83 redraft? Oh, I guess, John Elway. Can't be mad about that. It is what it is. So that's the Elway Moreno draft. I always think that draft is the 84 draft. Of course, the 84 draft is, when you think of 84 draft, and I guess Vernon Maxwell also involved here. Hey, yo, speaking of the NBA, shout out, Houston Rockets, Vernon Maxwell. But, the 84 draft, of course, the iconic NBA draft. But I guess I always think that the Elway draft is that same year as well, too. But no, it's the 83 draft for the NFL. So, again, Eric Dickerson, number 2 overall pick. Like, that turns out that's perfectly fine. And I guess I never watched Eric Dickerson. Hot take. We did watch LT, and I mean Eric Dickerson was every bit as good as every running back as well too that's ever played. Maybe what do you say one of the more underrated running backs? I think he might be. I don't know if again, winning does obviously matter, but I mean, even where was Emmitt Smith taken for running backs? I mean, even in the '90s, like that team was as built around Emmitt Smith as any team ever. Is 17th pick, so I guess that's a little bit farther down in the draft even. But it's just Tomlinson at number 5 is just like, yeah, that is, and again, maybe like I'm saying, speaking through the modern prism, where it's like you don't take running backs in the top 10, you take running backs late, you sign running backs, you or maybe you just try to piece it together. I guess maybe not to the Cowboys degree, but even their running game wasn't terrible this past year. So it's like, okay, do you just completely throw away an attempt to get a great running back? Or sometimes you do get this type of, I guess sometimes, once every in a lifetime you get this opportunity. So, it worked out again that he was there at 5 for him. But, I mean, yeah, what a beast, Chet. Hey, what do we got? 7, 8, 9 straight years of 1,000 rush yards from 2001 to 2008. I mean, obviously the 31 touchdown season as well too in there. So you really could make the case for him in this redraft scenario to go number 1 to Atlanta. Do we have to ask the Chat GPT as a tiebreaker? A little LaDainian Tomlinson versus Mike Vick versus? Hey, yo. Let's see if we can get a fake expert's opinion. Hey, yo. 2001 NFL redraft. We got to do Mike Vick versus. Hey, this is. I mean, is this crazier than Tank versus Tyrese? Hey, yo, Mike Vick versus what do we say? LaDainian En. Did we get it right, chat? Let's see. Of course, we want to, be respectful. Shout out. Oh, okay. Hey, yo. Of course, we did not, and we still probably didn't. Let's double check again and make sure. Oh, close, chat. Close. We're getting there. Okay, we're locked in now. We're locked in. See, you gotta type it out. You gotta go through the motions. I mean, it's like modern day writing, but they say like writing down, helps reinforce. So we just write LaDainian Tomlinson's name a bunch of times. I mean, that literally would help us memorize it. But, okay, yeah, we got Mike Vick versus LaDainian Tomlinson, 2001 NFL redraft. Let's see if it, goes for the quarterback or if it goes for the maybe slightly, I guess, again, for just basing it on football player, I guess slightly better overall career, slightly higher peaks, because I guess he did win a league MVP, right, that one year. So Mike Vick, what was he was second. He was second in Philly that one year. Again, I'm thinking Atlanta Mike Vick mostly because of this redraft scenario, and that's who was on the clock for taking him there. But he would have been second in 2004 as well too, and fourth in 2002. So the case is right there. Obviously, quarterback over running back being a major one. Let's see, I was just gonna say either one, I guess, is potentially the option. That's right, I guess. And again, you can't go wrong either way. If you want, Chad, 0 headaches. What does that mean? What does that mean? If I were a GM today, I would take Vic and build around him, Chat. I mean, I think the Chat GPT knows who we are. I think it is what it is. There's no way we're walking away from this redraft situation, and Michael Vick is still not the first number 1 overall pick. But again, I don't know if that means that Tomlinson makes it to 5 for the Chargers. We do have in the 2001 draft on the clock here for number 2, Arizona. Leonard Davis, the tackle, is the pick out of Texas. So I'm sure shout out, great college career. Gerald Warren, defensive tackle for Cleveland, number 3. So we do also have Richard Seymour as well. I mean, defensive end is just as important as quarterback in some respects. And Richard Seymour, was a part of 3 Super Bowl teams for the Patriots. And, again, we literally look back at that run, and maybe the point is to discredit Brady more than it is anything else. But we literally look back at that run and go, well, the defense carried Tom Brady the whole time. He has Belichick, the defense. He has nothing to do with it. But, Richard Seymour was carrying the defense. And there was great players, Ty Law, obviously, Lawyer, Malloy? Am I getting the name right? He was there for, a couple seasons. Teddy Bruschi, Ronnie Harrison as well, too. Again, stacked overall. But Richard Seymour probably was objectively the best player on that defense, at least in my opinion, and the leader of the defensive line as well, too. So, again, if we're viewing it through the modern prism of at least how these guys are getting paid in the modern NFL, like the defensive end would be right up there with all these guys, and has the positional versatility as well, too. To really, I think we just call him defensive lineman, like a Chris Jones type. I think is a good comparison, kids, if you're trying to, get a visual. Again, listed here as a defensive end, but 6'6", 317, could definitely play all over the defensive line if you needed him to. 2003, 4, and 5 made the first team All-Pro. So I guess didn't, again, have the craziest, decade-long run of just making All-Pros and things like that, but still, at the peak of his powers, again, was literally carrying this Patriots team to the playoffs for the Super Bowl. And, McGinnis also is the sack leader as well, too, for the playoff games of that team. So there are other names. Deion Branch won a Super Bowl MVP, receiver on that team. So there are other names that gets elevated. But I just think in terms of the building block talent of the team, Seymour is right there as well, too. I mean, that's a crazy. Again, it's easy to pick Tomlinson because of the flash, but that's a real team-building debate. I mean, again, even Atlanta taking Seymour, I think you have to take. I think the case, and maybe this is an interesting thing to think about Mendoza as well too, because I do honestly, if we're being let's just be honest here, chat. Hey yo, we've got no journalism degrees on the walls. Nobody expects us to make up fake points about the NFL draft. Is Mendoza? I guess it's it's basic to say he's that exciting of a quarterback prospect, but he is like a fun personality. He is obviously a little bit unorthodox compared to some other maybe typically what's the typical cool guy. Hey yo, I guess that now we're just showing our toxic traits. It is what it is, but because why can't Mendoza be cool? But again, I think there is just a little bit of that. There maybe it's people evaluating the film. I don't know. Again, I'm gonna lightly phrase it as the lack of a franchise guy, where it seems again he's gonna be a really good quarterback, but maybe what I'm trying to say is the leadership stuff, the leadership stuff that he has, where he could go in and invigorate a franchise and be a real star. Maybe personality is what I'm looking for, just the personality factor of it. I think that he does have that star power a little bit more than he is getting credit for. And again, to bring it around to Mike Vick, again, star power. Obviously great football talent, dynamic two-way athlete. Again, if we're doing a 2001 redraft and, redrafting these guys for the modern league, he's going to be perfect for it. But back then, again, we were saying, he was in the MVP conversation as well, too. He was awesome. He's the best Madden player in the history of Madden, so you get that effect that if he goes to the Chargers in this case, and they don't want to trade, everybody's playing with the Chargers now in 2004 because they have Mike Vick. Mike Vick in that dark blue Chargers uniform would be cool as well too. Obviously Tomlinson looked cool in it. Mike Vick would look great in it. The Cardinals being there and the Browns being there is definitely the franchise coolness level. And hey yo, obviously RIP San Diego as well too. As much as it makes my skin curl thinking about the late 2000s Chargers and those playoff upsets, obviously the environment was there, and we're saying, the team was objectively cool. The uniforms and the branding and stuff is still Chargers. They do a good job still in the modern day, but again, it doesn't have the same type of punch that it used to as the San Diego Chargers. That's for sure. But sorry to the San Diego fans in the chat, but either way, I think Tomlinson still goes second to the Cardinals here. Though they may have had Emmitt Smith in 2001 at the end of his career. So do they take Richard Seymour because they already have Emmitt Smith? Let's see. Oh, this is their drafted players section here. I guess Leonard Davis did end up playing till 2012. So you do have to give him credit there. And made 3 Pro Bowls. So Leonard Davis was a viable tackle in the NFL. We do have to give him his respect there. They were a little bit later in his career, I guess, with Dallas. 2007, 8, and 9. So not quite, impacting the drafted team per se. But 4th in Offensive Rookie of the Year voting. The first season was, obviously getting a lot of run right away. Impact guy, good starter. So I guess probably not going to fall too. The top 100 tackle of all time. Hey, yo, shout out. So, probably not going to fall too far in the redraft. It's just, there's some crazy, crazy names in here. It's all it is. But 2001 Arizona, who would it even have been their quarterback? I guess we're just redrafting the first round. We're totally forgetting about Drew Brees. Like, would Atlanta take Drew Brees? But again, this is not a pro Drew Brees pod. We're not drafting. If you're asking me if I would take Drew Brees over Michael Vick, no way. No way. What's the list of quarterbacks you're definitely not taking over Mike Vick? Drew Brees might be number 1. Hey, yo. Again, with all due respect to Drew Brees, we only ever want to compete against him in scenarios and try to get revenge for the Super Bowl. It is what it is. So he has to go to the other team. Hutchinson, the guard, as well, too, made the most first-team All-Pros of anybody. Though, again, Brees as the quarterback probably ends up... We got to take Brees second. It is what it is. I think that might be the quarterbacks, though, for this class. Again, Brees was the first pick of the second round. Oh, rushing yards. Mike Vick, the second leader rush. Oh, Deuce McAllister is also in this draft chat. Hey, yo. Shout out. Steve Smith in the 3rd round. We're going to have to actually make a big board. Hey, yo, is that how you run a draft? You write these names down and you remember? Imagine we were just like, oh, wait, we were going through the draft. Maybe some teams do that. They're like, oh, wait a second. He's in this draft? Wait a second. Mason Graham is on the clock? Like, what's going on here? But Deuce McAllister, he might be in the first round. I guess 23rd pick. Hey, yo, the Saints? I guess Drew Brees and Deuce McAllister, did they ever... I think they did play together. I know that... Was it Pierre Thomas was a little bit more vital to the Super Bowl team that year? But for passing yards, yeah, we go Drew Brees, Mike Vick, and then Quincy Carter, A.J. Feeney, and Sage Rosenfels. So, and Chris Weinke? Hey, yo, the Hall of Famer. Hey, yo, the Heisman Trophy winner / baseball player. And then we do have Jesse Palmer if we need a Bachelor host. Hey, yo. 500 passing yards we get a little bit later in the draft. Again, we start thinking about the business of the sport. Maybe Jesse Palmer can call the games afterwards or something like that. But, yeah, I don't know. First round draft board. We may have to, wait a little bit there. But, yeah, I do think that Brees probably is going to end up second to Atlanta here in the redraft. Though they do have Jake Plummer. Hey, yo, 27-year-old Jake Plummer. Does Drew Brees have to sit a season behind Jake Plummer? Or do they trade him as well, too? Because, again, they drafted a left tackle. So they're like, we got to build around this guy. 97 draft. And he was a good, decent starter as well, too. 69 and 67 for his career in 10 years. Played a decade, won half his games. Come on. If that's not decent starter, chat, I don't know what is. And, was getting pressured a lot as well, too. I think he was kind of a runner. So maybe didn't help himself there. But, played for 6 years in Atlanta. And then, up until Denver until I think basically Jay Cutler took over. And, obviously Jay Cutler, very talented quarterback in his own right as well, too. But, yeah, I think Brees probably takes over for Jake Plummer. Again, he leaves in 03 anyway, so the tenure is starting to run out there. Oh, Michael Pittman, the dad, is on this team. David Boston, the wide receiver. Wide receiver. Led the league in receiving yards this year, 1,500. So you get, I guess, a weapon for Brees there already. And then they don't have their left tackle, I guess, that they would have drafted here. But Oh yeah, I guess Boston making first team All-Pro as well. Maybe some pass rushers. Only one guy with 4 sacks, Rob Fredrickson. So maybe again some building to do there. This wouldn't be the Richard Seymour case to help boost this defensive line, because that is pretty weak right there, honestly. And again, you do have Jake Plummer. Imagine we're moving. Oh, chat, just to stick it to Breeze. Hey yo. They draft Richard Seymour. Again, I think Richard Seymour on this Cardinals team, that could be a situational type thing. It end up as it could be like a Dexter Lawrence situation, because like Myles Garrett obviously still puts up crazy stats. Like Richard Seymour was never putting up crazy stats on the Patriots. Like Dexter Lawrence, getting traded to the Bengals right now. Do they still have Hendrickson, or are they letting him walk in free agency? And they did sign Boye Mafe, so I think they might be smartly moving on from him, honestly. Boye Mafe and Dexter Lawrence or Trey Hendrickson. I think I might just take Dexter Lawrence over Hendrickson anyways. But either way, and they traded their 10th pick for him as well too. So I guess minus the 10th pick in the draft. But and in our 2001 redraft, Chargers on the clock as well. So LaDainian Tomlinson about to be selected, but. You could still. I mean, Dexter Lawrence is still first team All-Pro in New York the last couple of seasons, even if that team wasn't necessarily the best team. So again, that could be Seymour here in the Cardinals. We could curse him to being, on a average team, and take away his 3 Super Bowls would honestly be, again, a bummer for him. It is what it is. But just based on principle of the matter, again, Breeze, literally a top 15 quarterback of all time, is on the board. It's probably got to be Drew Brees going number 2 to Arizona. Shout out to Drew Brees in the 2000 redraft. He moved all the way up from number 1 pick of the first round to number 2 pick of the second round. A great career by Drew Brees. And then Cleveland at 4, Cleveland at 3. So again, speaking of Myles Garrett, we could continue that like we're saying. With Seymour, Hutchinson, the guard, if we were bringing in offensive linemen, they could go Hutchinson. Of course, Cleveland has had pretty good offensive lines at times this century. But Tomlinson to the Browns, chat? Hey, yo. How depressing does that get? I guess, okay, we do see the Jim Brown retired number here. That would be a legacy. There would be, definite, Cleveland running back hasn't done this since Jim Brown. And, I mean, he'd break some of the records. It would be, kind of a bummer to see them go. But, again, LT's one of the greats that would be, legitimately okay, I mean, he kind of earned it. It is what it is. The early 2000s Browns, I mean, not much going on there post-Belichick, I think. Let's see what we have for, okay, we're bouncing around, pause. All over the place here. Romeo Cannell in 2006. So if Tomlinson stays till 2006, yeah, Belichick in 95 leaves in 2001. Their head coach name is Davis. Butch Davis is in his first year as the head coach there, and then he would be playing with at 7-9, I guess, and then 9-7. I guess they were okay at that time. Kind of average. Tim Couch. So who knows? Tim Couch with Tomlinson. Are they an 11-win team? Are the Cleveland Browns 11-12 wins with Tomlinson? Again, he was legitimately that impactful. It may have happened. I don't know if their defense would have been okay if they are more focused on that. They do have a 13-sack season here from Jameer Miller. First team All-Pro, 4th in Defensive Player of the Year voting. So obviously a real leader there. And then I guess Warren, their rookie, with 5 sacks, so he did at least, get on the board a little bit. And I just don't want to send him to the Browns, chat. It is what it is. Tomlinson to the Chargers, it does make that team less competitive. It does free up the space for the Colts potentially. If we hold off one more pick, he goes to Cincinnati, and then Steve Hutchinson goes from Seattle, I guess, at 17 to Cleveland at 3. I think that's fine, Chad. With all due respect, Steve Hutchinson, he takes the mantle from Joe Thomas, or is that the right name there? Joe Thomas, the offensive lineman that was there for a decade and great, and unfortunately, I guess Myles Garrett took took the mantle from him as the career tenured Cleveland Brown for some reason that never leaves. Yeah, everybody hates Cleveland, but these guys just never everybody leaves except for the 2 players for Cleveland, the Browns. Who knew? Who knew? But either way, Steve Hutchinson, number 3 in the 2001 redraft. Again, one of the greatest offensive linemen to ever play. Most All-Pros of anybody in this draft. I think Breeze does have the highest weighted value. It is down a little bit lower than some of the other guys. But, again, positional value as well, too, does have to be factored in, building around a great tackle. So Cleveland is getting Steve Hutchinson at number 3. And then Cincinnati is going from Justin Smith, who did have a great career, 87 sacks. Like, nothing to be ashamed of there. Not all in Cincinnati. I want to say he was on San Francisco for a bit, though I guess did play a good chunk in Cincinnati. And just kind of, I guess, a consistent, 6, 7, 8 sacks every year over the course of his career. Did make first-team All-Pro in 2011 and had his Pro Bowl run of his career for the 49ers. I mean, what did he end up getting to? 5 Pro Bowls and an All-Pro? Yeah, I mean, half a decade there of being one of the better pass rushers in the league near the end of his career. But I don't think he quite hops Tomlinson in this scenario. And we did see some other names there, Reggie Wayne, Steve Smith as well on the board. And, of course, Seymour is still available. But I think we do have to just take the star power of LT at this point. Even though I guess, wait a second, going back, did they take, Seymour was the next pick, right? After Tomlinson. So it was proven that people, already proven that, right on the draft board there. It is 1 spot difference. We've got Dick LeBeau coaching the team, I guess, in 2001. They go 6-10 that year. And this is a little bit before Palmer, though, LaDainian Tomlinson and Carson Palmer is, like, not a bad team. And Ocho Cinco, like, that's pretty fun, honestly. Hushmanzada, I don't know if it is better, because, again, that Chargers offense is pretty good. You got Sproles in there as a second running back. Vincent Jackson as the receiver. Shout out. I don't know exactly what the best version of that offense was personnel-wise in that Rivers run. Oh, Gates as well, too, of course. Gates on that team there. Let's see, 11-5 in 2007, lost conference finals game. I guess kind of their best overall year. Of course, Rivers, Tomlinson, Jackson, Chris Chambers, and Michael Turner as well, too. Malcolm Floyd, kind of a sleeper, but I mean, yeah, obviously Vincent Jackson was as dynamic as anybody in the league. Incredible speedster, incredible deep ball receiver, 19 yards a reception in 2012, led the league. Crazy stuff, obviously rest in peace to the great Vincent Jackson. But yeah, I think that would have rivaled that, because Ocho Cinco probably would have been a little bit better overall. I think Vincent Jackson, again, his skill set of being the deep ball receiver. Oh, Chad, hey, yo, 102-101 with 2 minutes left. The Blazers on a 12-2 run here. I was looking at, I was not even going to mention it. Comfortably, the Spurs had taken the lead. Clutch minutes. Hey, yo, can everybody just change into their Fiesta jerseys for the last 2 minutes and just get the environment pumped up here? De'Aaron Fox, former Clutch Player of the Year. They just gave the award to Shea today, I think. Oh, misses the 3. Cornette tries to get the rebound. I think it works. I think Holiday falls out of bounds with the basketball, and it's still going to be Spurs ball, down 1. The craftiness of Luke Cornette. Somehow, chat, once again, he gets it done. Hey, yo. Every time. Pause. It is what it is. And I guess, what are we saying? Tomlinson to the Bengals? I guess, the Chargers could still get Turner at some point, and Sproles. There are good running backs was the strength of their team. They didn't even need Tomlinson as well, too. They go to a team that needs him. Oh, Fox missing a floater, chat. Oh, another offensive rebound. The Blazers. Did the league call this in? The league told the Blazers to let the Spurs win. Let Castle take the shot. Fox has had his opportunities. Oh, for 3. Cornette again. Coach, was that an offense? What is happening? Hey, yo. That Castle attempt didn't even hit the rim. Pause. I guess I can't even be mad. I literally can't even be mad. The Spurs had 4 shots on basket there. 4 shots on goal. Hey, yo, that's a lot in soccer. I mean, in basketball, you'll definitely take that as well, too. So, I mean, they can get a stop here. Still in good shape to potentially take the lead on a basket. Still a 1-point game. But that's a little embarrassing, Chad. I mean, you know, we had belief in this team, but you have 4 opportunities. Wemby's shot blocking would be nice. Cornet does have a presence. They don't call a foul. Hey, yo, the league loves Cornet. Oh, Henderson pressuring Fox. Vassell for 3. 0 for 5 in the last minute, chat. Hey, yo, Vassell had an open look. It is a sneaky 2 for 1. So they don't have to play the foul game here. They can get a stop. They can even, you know, potentially allow a drive and still get a 3. Odd via the drive. The awkward attempt and the Robert Williams follow and 1. Oh, no, chat. That's the worst thing that could have happened right. That's the worst thing that could have happened right there. Hey, yo. Luke Cornet, his activity had to get in the way at some point. Advia, I thought he was traveling. He just kind of stopped, but he never did jump. So, and never did take another step as well, too. I guess you got to give him that. And in the modern NBA, you know, what is traveling? I guess not that. But 104 to 101, chat. San Antonio, it's going to be 1-1. What is this? You know, speaking of classic Spurs basketball, you know, again, as much as, oh, Robert Williams misses timeout. Timeout. Okay, we can't speak too soon, chat. I will say, I mean, you know, the Spurs in the 2000s, but we were watching, had a couple early playoff exits, so you know, there's some classic Spurs basketball there. But you know, I think them being like 1-1 in a series, even you know 1-2 in the rare occasion, but them being 1-1 in a series is not too rare. I would say. I think it was like okay, you know, Tim Duncan maybe a little later in his career, Parker and Ginobili. These guys weren't always going to be 4-0 every series. It is what it is. But let's see. Wait a second. Okay, when did back to the NFL draft? Back to the 2001. We're gonna lose our own voice chats cheering for this team. It is what it is. So we'll see what happens here. But we need to figure out when Ocho Cinco was drafted as well too. I guess Chad Johnson, as they have him listed here. Oh, is he also 2001 draft? Hey yo. So the Bengals are not gonna get Chad Johnson, unfortunately, in this redraft situation. Because he's definitely also going to be a first-round talent. Great receiver draft, the 2001 draft. Let's just go to that real quick and see what we've got going on here. Steve Smith, Reggie Wayne, Chad Johnson, Santana Moss, Chris Chambers, TJ Houshmandzadeh, Todd Heap. We got him tight end for Baltimore. And then Tomlinson with 4,700 pass yards himself as well, too. Algie Crumpler, Corin Robinson, Justin McCarn is, I guess, some of the names maybe starting to get a little less familiar at this point. But that's a pretty strong, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6? You know, throw the tight end there at 7. But if we're just going specific for receivers, like that is a pretty, TJ Houshmandzadeh is your 7th best receiver in the draft. Like he was a legitimate number 2 receiver. Again, same with Chambers. Man, Santana Moss was, 10,000 yards in his career. Like I think Johnson was a little bit more game-changing than Santana Moss, though, you know, Moss at Miami as well, too. You know, that U team obviously stacked there in the early 2000s. But I would, personally, I would have Johnson ranked, or Ocho saying I'd have Ocho ranked as a higher receiver than Santana Moss, though, again, the production is pretty close. And, you know, Santana Moss is, like maybe like a Doug Baldwin type of receiver. If you're just saying who can get like 1,100 yards in an offense, but maybe isn't going to necessarily be your number 1 pick for like he's going to change a playoff game necessarily. Again, I don't want to, he had a great career for sure. 1,400 yards in 2005. Yeah, did make 1 Pro Bowl, and I guess a little up and down in terms of the 1,000 yards than I would have thought there. But the 14-year career starting in the Jets, and then, a lot of it, of course, in Washington as well too. Heavily targeted, 100+ targets for multiple years. So again, fantasy stuff that applies, I'm sure. Sleeper in that league. It's like, oh, Santana Moss is your wide receiver 3. like you might be doing okay. Oh, chat, 103 to 104. Okay. 10 seconds left. Still potential here. And I guess we do have LA versus Houston starting up soon as well. But yeah, I guess just for the sake of it, did the Bengals, do they have a second round pick or a second first round pick by chance? Can they get Johnson with another one here? Pause. Whoa. Ayo. Can they get Ocho with another pick? They might have to trade back up into the first round. Though again, he did go 36. So, oh, chat, imagine if you had Ocho and LT in the same draft. Let's just run it in the simulator and see what happens. I guess we'll just keep a running 2001 redraft scenario here. What would chat? I mean, the Bengals, this is a what if that is like kind of realistic, but they probably wouldn't have gotten Palmer as well too. They wouldn't have been the number one pick in 2004, but either way, what would the Bengals have looked like with LT? Oh, wait a second. LT plus Ocho plus Palmer eventually. Obviously, when they do get him in the 2004 draft, if I'm not mistaken. And, that, again, with him and Ocho, that team was good. Like, just because, again, a team doesn't always make the deepest playoff run or get remembered as, like, the vaunted 14-1 Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, they just threw it inbounds. The Blazers did. 5.2 Spurs foul. So, Blazers will, I guess, have a 3-point lead if they make both. Still something, chat. Still something. Hey, yo. I guess that's why they had to push off the start of this Lakers game. I guess unfortunately the league, they did, I guess, prioritize LeBron over Wemby. I don't know if it's a Lakers start time, San Antonio start time situation, an LA, Texas time difference. Is San Antonio an hour ahead of LA too? I'm not sure. I guess we got to get San Antonio dialed up in the clock. But whoa. But I guess back to the 2001 draft. Okay, wait a second. We were going back to this Bengals scenario. Palmer. What would that offense have looked like? That would have been crazy. And did they also may have had Husmanzada as well too at one point here. Let's just quickly even go to the 2004, but was it the 2007 Bengals there that were the better team? So they were 8-8, I guess, with Palmer's first year. 6-7 with Palmer. 2-1 with Kitna. Even better with Kitna, but as a rookie, 3 game-winning drives already for Palmer there. Marv Lewis coaching the team the entire century, basically, until Zach Taylor had taken over 2004, 8-8, 2005, 11-5, I guess, and then lost to the Steelers. And the Steelers won the Super Bowl this year, right? So is this one of those games where, like, would the Bengals have gone on to win the Super Bowl if they won this game? The Steelers also have a very fortunate divisional round matchup result with the Colts where Vanderjagt just straight up misses a game-tying field goal attempt, where a very, very makeable one. So maybe that also becomes, and again, Palmer, Manning, Roethlisberger, the better quarterbacks in the AFC, and, Brady, obviously, at that time as well, too. And then 2004 would have been, I guess, we got Michael Vick, I guess still in Atlanta, because they're taking a number one. Breeze in Arizona at this point as well, too. Do we have to put the whole league in this ChatGPT situation? But yeah, even TJ Husmanzada is on this team. So this becomes one of the greatest offenses of all time? I don't know, but one of the fun, if we're talking Madden offenses as well, too, one of the fun Madden offenses here. So 2005 Bengals was the real life peak, like we're saying. Number one, oh, wait, is this the number one offense in terms of the redraft? Or they were number 4 in points per game. Oh, the Spurs, did they miss? Oh, they missed, chat. 103 to 106. So it is going to be a 1-1 series. Wemby and concussion protocol. We go back to the Blazers for game 2. The series does have a whiff of interesting, chat. It does have a whiff of interesting. I don't know if it's a full-on. Actually, I did just watch The Fog. It is on Plex right now. We had to download Plex on the Roku. But I did just watch The Fog by John Carpenter. Shout out. I mean, one of the great auteurs. Is that right? The right way to say that? One of the great auteurs, not I guess of our time, but of the times ever. But wait, first ever playoff win in San Antonio? Is that what it said? Oh, Chad, I'm disgusted it was in my lifetime. I'm disgusted. But either way, I did just watch The Fog. I would say, The Fog has not totally set in yet for worry. Again, obviously, we'll see the Wemby injury part of it. That will determine it. But it is like, okay, it's like the weather report. It's like when the radio DJ is like, the fog is like 25 miles out. Scoot Henderson, 31 points. So who would have thought, Chad, in this series, the 2000 and what even draft was Wemby? Shout out the Drake rollout. It's all a blur. I think it's a different year, but either way, the Wemby tenure now. We don't remember what draft class he was in, but Scoot, both guys, 30 points from the draft class. Scoot with 31 in game 2. Wemby 35 in game 1. So, looking back, is this going to be the classic series? Scoot versus Wemby. Will we have the showdown battle between the two of them? I don't know. But either way, I guess back to the 2001 redraft. LT does push the hypothetical Bengals to probably the number 1 offense at this point. They lost in the wild. Oh, that's right. Palmer got hurt as well, too. So even if they have Palmer, it becomes a whole different story. I guess, is that more impactful than having LaDainian Tomlinson there in 2005? But is Tomlinson worth a playoff win potentially? Could he upset the Steelers? The turning point, Kimmo von Oelhoffen. Hey yo, I mean, like the story of Palmer's career is he gets hurt at some point. I guess if you're locked in like that. But I had no idea the guy that injured him, Kimmo von Oelhoffen. Hey, yo, I'm trying to remember who the guy that injured... Bernard Pollard. That was the guy that injured Brady, I think, in 2011. I'm trying to think, what would be the most impactful quarterback injuries based on... And now, non-contact stuff is, prevalent in all the sports as well. But, like, this last Mahomes injury, was that like a multi-tackle situation? Like, who was the guy that injured Mahomes? They're going to remember that? I guess not. But Pollard was kind of a player as well too. So I think that was more just like a solidifier of his reputation, more so than like, oh yeah, remember that one play that he made. Because I'm also thinking of a safety from, I want to say the 70s. Shout out, one of the greats of all time, Jack Tatum. But he laid a hit on a guy that I want to say paralyzed him, and I don't even want to know if it was, I don't necessarily want to just put that on Jack Tatum as well too. But hey, I think he might be like one of the defining heavy hitters in league history. But again, it was like that type of play. It's not just like that's a one-off play in Tatum's career. It's like, okay, that's something that he was known for, and it got really out of hand in this one play, or more like went terribly wrong in this one play. But again, maybe Kimmo von Oelhoffen was more like a one-play situation, but. Either way, I guess with LT, obviously they don't really have to, and it was, I guess, not just like a one-game situation as well too. Best case scenario, 2 Super Bowl appearances for the Bengals. Oh, chat, ayo, offense would rival peak Colts. That is interesting. Let us know, chat. What would you rather have? Because you don't have to hypothetically have the Colts offense. They literally had it there, and it did. At its best, it did go pause a little bit, deeper than the Bengals. The 1-2 receiver combo is a little bit more stacked. Harrison, versus Harrison, Ocho could be as good on a given day as either Harrison or Wayne, for sure. And obviously LT versus Edgerrin James. Edgerrin James could be a great running back as well too, but LT has a little bit of the advantage there. But you would give Dallas Clark the tight end advantage. And again, whoever you want to say is the better receiver for the Colts, the second receiver is probably better still than Husmanzada would be the 4th receiver on that list. So, and then Manning probably has the edge over, not probably, Manning would have the edge over Palmer as well too. But and then like we're saying, that Rivers offense, Ocho would be the best receiver there, and Palmer versus Rivers could be pretty comparable. So now that means Breeze is comparable to Palmer. Why not? I'll stand by it. Would Palmer have upset the Colts if he had the onside kick, and if Greg Williams was hunting guys? Maybe, but. Keeps, I guess, sneaky bonus impact, keeps locker room steadier versus Corey Dillon exit era. So Corey Dillon making his way to the Patriots, because he was there, I want to say, during their Super Bowl era. So let's see, Corey Dillon, 1997 draft to 2006. Yeah, it was in Cincinnati. I guess only in New England for 3 years. In Cincinnati for 7. 8,000 yards for his career in Cincinnati. So yeah, taking over for that would be pretty crazy. And there would even be a 2-year stretch where they were overlapping. Oh man, I guess that's why maybe. But at 28, I mean, you wouldn't just pass on Tomlinson because, respectfully, you have Corey Dillon. You would have to. Like, if the Lions right now have Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, I guess they don't anymore. But if they did, then, I mean, you would have to at least have a couple seasons of Corey Dillon and LaDainian Tomlinson. Hey, yo. So, I mean, again, that would be, I mean, John Kitna would have to win at least 9 games in 2003 with that offense. At least. So, I guess, at least sustain AFC powerhouse. And the AFC teams were the ones winning the Super Bowls as well, too, in the early 2000s. So, if they were to get there, the Seahawks, the Bears, who did I guess, the Patriots played maybe some better teams. McNabb and the Eagles there. I guess that would be interesting. Hey, let's see. What year was that? Imagine that. That would be. Is that the fun hypothetical Super Bowl we never got? LaDainian Tomlinson and Palmer versus McNabb and Terrell Owens. Oh, Chad Owens versus Chad Johnson, Chad Ochocinco, as well too. It's in my mind because that's how we saw it on the page here. We're blaming it on Pro Football Reference. That's the excuse. Would that have been 2004? So it would have had to have been Palmer's rookie year that they made it versus the Patriots. Could Palmer as a rookie with LaDainian Tomlinson have gone into New England, I guess, and got the win? They were 8-8 with him as a rookie either way. And he would have had to, I guess, maybe get past the Colts as well too. The Patriots got the Colts, the Steelers, and then the Eagles that year in the playoffs, 14-2 overall. And then, like we said, 05, and then 06 would have been the Colts year. They wouldn't have won that one. The Colts were definitely beating every team in the league that year. It is what it is. Bob Sanders healthy for the playoffs. If the Bengals had Bob Sanders, maybe, but unfortunately Bob Sanders was on the Colts. So that means the Colts were going to be the Super Bowl winning team. If he was healthy, they won the Super Bowl. But 06 would have been the year. Then 07 would have the Giants year. Do the Patriots go undefeated? Did they play the Bengals that year? And the playoffs, they played the Jags in the playoffs. Did they play the Ravens? And then I guess it would have been just the two teams, right? They definitely would have had a first round bye. I'm pretty sure. The 16-0 in the regular season gets you a first round bye in the playoffs. Does it in 2026? I guess if there's another, well, you'd have to be 17-0. If you're 16-1, if there's another 17-0 team. So 8-8, you had Denver 10-6 in 2004. The Jets at 10-6. The Chargers, I guess with Breeze at 12-4, and Tomlinson as well too. So yeah, Tomlinson's got to be worth at least, like we're saying, 2 wins. They probably go to 10-6 at the bare minimum that year, and then go to 14 wins the next year as well too. And then 2008, the next Steelers Super Bowl. So we're taking, I guess, the AFC North Super Bowls maybe go up for debate. Then the 2 Roethlisberger Super Bowls, do those become Palmer Super Bowls at that point? But I guess that's the fun scenario will play out here, is Tomlinson to the Bengals. And unfortunately, I guess, who does that leave for the Chargers? The Chargers, once again, getting screwed over. They lose their team. They lose their running back. They lose their quarterback as well, too. Their Drew Brees, their second-round quarterback, is now gone. So the entire beauty of the first round, that's I guess, the great thing about it. Because, you don't actually do redrafts. So you don't actually have to worry, if we crush this draft, we're going to lose Drew Brees. We're going to lose his legacy when he gets redrafted to the Cardinals. Oh, now the Cardinals have Drew Brees' legacy. No, you do actually get to keep that. But so, they'll get Richard Seymour here for the Chargers. And then maybe Rivers in a couple years still down the line. They can still get Rivers in that 04. Wait, so Palmer would have been what? 03 draft? 02 draft? So maybe I'm getting his draft class wrong, because 04 would have been, no, was he? Wait a second, quick Carson Palmer detour here. Yeah, okay, 03 draft, 04 season, so then I guess it would be listed as 05 here for Eli and Rivers as their first season, potentially, because that is obviously the 04 class. And Roethlisberger, no, Eli 04 as well too. So I guess Palmer missing a year. Wait, let's go back to Palmer's career and just see what is going on. But, and Eli is as gutsy a playoff player as we've had, so we can't necessarily compare. Can we compare anybody to Eli Manning? I don't know. Ooh, Andre Johnson in the 2003 redraft. That's another great quarterback weapon debate. Hey, Mike Vick versus LaDainian Tomlinson. Andre Johnson versus Carson Palmer is pretty fun as well, too. I guess, did not play the 2003 season for Cincinnati. Just the 2004 would have been the rookie there at 6-7, 13 games played. But, either way. Okay, so we got, I guess, Seymour here. We got to go back again and make sure we're not missing anybody for the Chargers. Since we took Tomlinson, we got to be careful that we're replacing him with the right player and the right player from the right draft. Hey, they're going to be drafting draft rights from a couple years out. Is probably not the thing you want. You probably want to add a guy to the team right away here. Let's see, 2001 draft back up here. I guess we'll go the weighted value real quick to get the list sorted a little bit differently, because it does have Reggie Wayne third, so we do like that. It's supporting our Colts players, and obviously he will be a Hall of Famer. Steve Smith will be a Hall of Famer as well too. I mean, we would make the case obviously for Ocho Cinco as well too. Does Nightcap count as a Hall of Fame, part of the Hall of Fame case? Because if it does, then obviously lock him in. But Steve Smith literally did also take that Panthers team to the Super Bowl as well too. But I think Seymour probably does have to be the pick here for the Chargers. And then who was 6? The Patriots. So they're still going to get obviously a great player. They do have now, they're without their defensive line stalwart, like we're saying. They would potentially be forced to go weapon, though, and that would be interesting. Would you lean into more offensive firepower in the Brady years? Again, the defense would still be stacked with Harrison and the other guys, like we're saying. So overall, you're still going to, the secondary anyways, is still going to be menacing. Teddy Bruschi holding down the front line as well, too. Again, McGinnis. So there is still enough guys that the defense would be good. And imagine Steve Smith with Brady would honestly have been crazy. And, who knows how that rewrites, I'm going to say Brady's entire career. But, again, if we're talking about the Manning parallel, like up until Moss in 2007, Brady didn't really have, I guess, we're just writing off Deion Branch. But he does leave earlier there. Like, I guess Brady just kind of cycled through, a lot of different really great receivers for, a good portion of his career as well, too. Had Gronk as a great tight end. Again, guys like Edelman and stuff were able to elevate their performances in the playoffs. Like, just because Edelman's not a big regular season name, like, you do have to give him his credit for the way he was able to play in the postseason. But, Gronk as well, too, being the main guy at the time. And then the core that he had in Tampa, playing with Evans and Godwin at the peak of his powers, like, that was a pretty dynamic receiving duo as well, too. But Steve Smith could have been, like, a legitimate decade-long connection between those guys. And I mean, they got Randy Moss for what, a 4th-round pick in 2007? Like, maybe they're not as desperate to be looking for a receiver, but I'm sure Belichick's always looking for good value players. And again, clearly, there was an undervaluing of Moss at the time in general. So imagine Moss and Steve Smith in 2007, if he's still there. Steve Smith was in Carolina for 13 years. I mean, playing with literally nobody. I can't even think of who else Cam Newton eventually. But, I mean, how many seasons did he even play with Cam? What was Cam 2011 draft? Yeah, 2011 for Cam. So he was there for 3 seasons with Cam Newton. Was Delhomme there? Or what, like some Jimmy Clausen years? Like, hey, imagine if Steve Smith in 2008 through 10 would have been playing with with Tom Brady instead of Jimmy Clausen. Like, who was his quarterback in 08 when he had 1,400 yards? 12-4? I guess this is probably still Delhomme, right? Yeah, Delhomme cooking, Chad. 15 touchdowns, 12 picks. Ayo. And D'Angelo Williams with 18 touchdowns. Steve Smith had 6 of the receiving touchdowns. So, 2/3, or I guess a third of his receiving touchdowns. Muhammad, though, as well, too, was good in his own right. And again, their running back core was pretty great as well, too. Is Delhomme 2001 draft? Can we redraft Delhomme for this Panthers team? What draft? Oh, undrafted. One of the great undrafted quarterbacks, I guess. What was his first year? Oh, 99. I'll say he had to have started in the league around that time. But I guess not quite eligible for this case. I guess I'm not considering the undrafted players from 2001 that would have made their way up. I don't know if we can find that list. But that would have been crazy. Okay, chat, next question. What would Steve Smith's... and, again, as much as I love Reggie Wayne, and, Santana Moss is great as well, too, like Chad Johnson, I do, if I'm putting my objective NFL journalist hat on and just kind of zooming to an answer, I think Steve Smith would probably be the number one receiver. I guess we can go back and just double check one more time. But I think for me, he would be that number one receiver in the class. And again, it would be just Wayne having, again, being honest, it would just be Reggie Wayne being taller. I think is literally the only reason why people, I'm not trying to be disrespectful for our own guy, because I would have, Wayne right there with Chad Johnson, and again, with Steve Smith for the impact. I mean, he's only 400 yards behind him in his career. So I think any of those three guys you can argue. I mean, he made more Pro Bowls than Steve Smith. Steve Smith with 2 All-Pros. But again, with considering the quarterback play and how he was still able to elevate that offense, I think you do have to give him his credit there. What would Steve Smith, let's see here, career numbers, I guess. Career numbers, stats have looked like. And again, Brady's already on the team at this point, so we don't even need to worry about that. I guess, did they trade up for this 6th pick, or did they just have a down year in that 1 year, or is this the next, or this is the year? I guess this is the year, right? They get Seymour, they get Brady in the 2000 draft, if I'm not mistaken. I guess we already did the passing sort. Brady and Mike Vick were not in the same draft. That is for sure, because there's nobody really else in that Brady draft. Literally nobody else. Obviously he would be the number one quarterback, but it is not like, oh yeah, Mike Vick was number one, and then, oh, well, Brady was the last quarterback taken, so I guess he's, the number one overall. Or like we say, a Phillip Rivers level quarterback, or literally any other quarterback, because Brady's the number one. But let's see what Steve Smith's numbers look like if he had been drafted number 6 by the Pats, and then obviously would have been playing with Tom Brady as a factor because of that. But let's see. Here's the catch. Patriots football does not equal Carolina football. Volume versus efficiency trade-off. Steve Smith was the offense. In New England, he becomes the wide receiver 1, but spreads the wealth. Fewer than 150 target seasons. Yeah, I guess we have to check. 150 target seasons is, insane. For sure. But like we're saying, him taking that pause, that kind of load. Hey, Steve Smith, don't get construed what we're saying about you. We're giving you compliments here. Yeah, in 2005, 150 targets. 148 in 2007 as well. But, again, the production, he's getting 80 receptions here. These passes, are, they're just going his way. They're just being flung over his head. So he's probably still consistently, maybe the same production, but obviously the wins and stuff is going to be a little bit higher. Career number projections, real life total. I was say that looks pretty similar to what he had there. 1,031 yards, 731 yards, or 1,031 catches, 14,731 yards, 81 touchdowns. So Patriots versions, about 900 to 1,000 receptions, 1,400 yards, 110 touchdowns. So that goes up from 81. Playoff stats, massive increase. So let's see what Steve Smith had for those playoff numbers here. See, twice with Jake Delhomme, he led the league in receiving yards in the playoffs. 404 yards, 3 touchdowns, 335 yards and 3 touchdowns. But that's, only 3-4 playoff runs. He just played so long that he was able to get into the playoffs a couple of times after that. But would have, constantly been in the playoffs, obviously, with the Patriots. 2005, no Triple Crown explosion. Oh, chat, we don't want to take that away from him there. But because the Patriots don't hyper target one guy like that, I mean, do we have to go back and look at Randy Moss's stats this season? Like, Randy Moss did break the touchdown record. So I think Brady has no problem throwing to a guy if he's open. Again, he just literally never played with a guy on the regular season level of Randy Moss. And, again, Edelman, even though he stepped up in the playoffs, different type of receiver. Much more, obviously, check down, simpler play type production. 1,400 yards, almost 1,500, 1,493 yards in 2007 for Randy Moss. 23 touchdowns, 160 targets. So, I mean, I hate to argue with ChatGPT. I hate to argue with a robot. But we'll just say Moss had 160 targets in 07. So, I feel like Steve Smith would do okay with getting targets and getting looked at a lot in this Patriots offense. Steve Smith might have had a couple 150-yard seasons. He could have, I guess, 18,000 yards, get an extra 4,000 or 5,000 yards for playing with Tom Brady, and then 2 Super Bowls. So is Steve Smith arguably a top 10 receiver of all time? Again, does any receiver getting drafted with Tom Brady here, number 6 overall? A top 10 receiver. But, again, interesting to see how they would have changed. Let's see. Do the Pats win more or less Super Bowls with a wide receiver at 6 instead of Seymour? Just, again, based on the fact that he would have gone higher in this redraft scenario, and they're not passing on him. And, being the anchor of the style of play is just different than being a really, really good player on the roster. That's for sure. But obviously Steve Smith raises the offensive ceiling, probably smooths out some ugly offensive stretches from 2001 to 2003. You lose the interior dominance on defense. Very plausible. Okay, Chad, so we've given him a good offense, but we may be taking away a ring from Tom Brady. So this is actually working out well. Offense becomes elite earlier than 2007. The defense versus dynasty identity weakens. More 2005, 2012 era shootout teams, but fewer early rings in the bank. Also, but maybe they win one in 2008 or something like that if he's still hanging around there. Early dynasty, 2001 to 2004, 1 ring with Steve Smith. Oh no, Chad. Things have gone terrible for Belichick as well, too. The legacy's been destroyed. He drafted Steve Smith in this redraft, and now they're down to 1 ring. This is not great. But fewer or same Super Bowls, not more. So they don't go to 4, apparently, with Steve Smith. But they do good drop down to 1. But either way, he is the pick, I guess, in this scenario. Unless you want, Justin Smith, like we were saying. Andre Carter, 80 sacks as well, too. I guess we haven't looked at the defensive backs as well. Maybe not, the most familiar name class here specifically. But we do have Adrian Wilson. Okay, yeah, sure. Solid starter in the league for a long time. 5 Pro Bowls as well, too. Making all-pro team there. I have a couple Adrian Wilson football cards laying around. But, again, I don't know if he's going to be a name arguing for the top of the redraft necessarily. But maybe the receivers is it just a run of receivers after that, just based on the talent? Because we have seen that recently as well, too. And like we're saying, if we're basing it on the contracts, receivers are the ones getting sneaky, up there for highest paid. So, in New England with back-to-back picks. So, 2 receivers, chat. Okay, well, what if they would have taken Reggie Wayne, Chad Johnson? I feel like they have to take Chad Johnson just because that's the more fun team. And it allows Reggie Wayne to go to the Colts still as well. But, and maybe they take Ocho with the next pick. Now they're back up to 6 Super Bowls. If this is the case. Oh, we mistyped it, chat. It is what it is. Basically proposing no Richard Seymour at 6, but take Steve Smith. And I guess we did take Hutchinson off the board as the other offensive lineman. Again, we could bring, who is the offensive lineman taken second that made a couple Pro Bowls. He might be, if we just need to build that unit out, might be a name. And Matt Light did make 3 Pro Bowls as well too. So again, he is a name. Oh, are we just going by Patriots picks? Oh, we had the weighted value turned up. Oh, okay, chat. Hey, yo, never mind. So they can't take Ocho with back-to-back picks. They only had the 1 pick. San Francisco is up next. Oh, so Ocho goes to the 49ers in 2001. And then they go 2004 this next year, drafting, I guess, Andre Carter, who I don't know if it was his rookie impact that individually elevated the team, but like we said, he did have a pretty solid career. 12.5 sacks in 2002 anyways, 10.5 in Washington, 10 in New England in 2011. So, was able to be productive on multiple teams, bouncing around the league a little bit. Is this the Jeff Garcia? Who's the running back? Garrison Hurst? So Chad Ochocinco, Jeff Garcia, and Garrison Hurst. I mean, that's an 11-win team. I guess now they're down a win from 12 in 2004. Lost 15-25 to the Packers in the playoffs. So maybe a little bit more of a, regular season team. I don't know if that's scheduling there kind of helping them out. But let's see if we can look. Because, Jeff Garcia, was he okay? Does he have a ice cream flavor named after him, or is that a different Garcia that I am thinking about? But yeah, I guess 32 touchdowns, 12 picks this year for our guy Garcia at 31. So, maybe a little bit of a later career resurgence. Garrison Hurst, only 4 touchdowns rushing. Kevon Barlow, 4. And then Jeff Garcia, 5 as well, too. Taking away some Garrison Hurst fantasy points, but he still had 1,100 yards, 1,500 total yards. And then Terrell Owens and Ochocinco and Garrison Hurst. Oh, now this would have been a team, chat. Hey, yo. This would have been a team right here. So Ochocinco is, I guess, the 7th pick. Oh, so close, chat. We could have. Do we have to put Reggie Wayne at 7 just to make Ochocinco the 8th pick? Because, again, they're not worse taking Reggie Wayne. And that puts Ochocinco on the Bears. The 2001 Bears. I don't think Rex Grossman had gotten there yet. Urlacher, maybe he is there at this point. But it would have been, obviously, and, early Urlacher, AO. 13-3, so they were cooking a little bit after this. Lost to Philly in the divisional round. Jim Miller, 11-2 as their quarterback, 13 touchdowns, 10 picks. So speaking of forgotten seasons, Jim Miller, Anthony Thomas, their running back, I'd say Rookie of the Year Anthony Thomas was 2nd-round pick. So maybe he gets in the redraft. I don't think he quite had the rest of the years compared to some of the receiver weapons that we are talking about. But yeah, Urlacher early on, I guess, 5th in MVP voting. So this is 23. Let's see. What year was this for Urlacher? Somehow those 2nd in Defensive Player of the Year voting as well, too. Year 2, so 2000 draft for Urlacher. Oh, the Brady draft. I guess, is that the question, Chad? Is that the debate? Brian Urlacher or Tom Brady? How do you want to build your football team there? So we had Kurt Warner, Falk, Favre, and Cordell Stewart as the MVP votes. But Strahan apparently didn't get any MVP votes, but, 22.5 sacks, got Defensive Player of the Year. And Urlacher did get 2, so it's not like just one Bears writer, writing him in. Cordell Stewart with 4 MVP votes that year. So, shout out the sleeper Cordell Stewart year. Obviously, Urlacher, one of the greats. We don't have to go back and debate that. So, obviously would have supercharged the offense a little bit more than what they had already with Jim Miller. And I don't even know how, what the Bears quarterbacks in this era are. Caleb Williams obviously just has a chance to be, it's like, okay, can he be the first quarterback to throw for 4,000 yards? How about, an 8-year starter as well, too, would be, that's a win. Would you trade everything they did for an 8-year starter? Back down to 4-12 in 2002. Jim Miller, oh, chat, immediately fell apart. Chris Chandler, bringing him in, 4 touchdowns, 4 picks, 2-5 that year. And then 2003. And again, they're in the Super Bowl in 2007. So I guess if they don't trade Ochocinco, then, they may, Ochocinco and Devin Hester would have been a crazy potential fun. Maybe you're working Devin Hester more into the offense if that is, if you have another main receiver there as well too. And I guess speaking of Cordell Stewart, they bring him in. Unfortunately, 2 for 5 as a starter, 7 touchdowns, 12 picks. Hey, yo. Chris Chandler, though, 3 touchdowns, 7 picks in his own right. 3 for 3 as a starter there. I don't know how they got to 7-9. I don't know how that math equals 7 games. But 5 games in 2004, 11 games won in 2005 is where they start the rebound. And I guess it was Kyle Orton as well, too. I was going to say, I thought Kyle Orton was there after Rex Grossman, but I guess he was there the entire time. So did he get hurt? Why did Rex Grossman take over for Kyle Orton? I mean, I don't think there was a right answer either way. How are Rex Grossman and Kyle Orton your quarterback options? But, yeah, I guess 5, and then something happened at 06. Hey, yo, quick research chat. Why did Kyle Orton not play in 2006? Was it injury? Is that the lost season? Would Kyle Orton and Chad Ochocinco have won the Super Bowl in 06 for the Bears? Because they did get there versus the Colts. And the Colts, I mean, gave them that Super Bowl in the first half. Gave them the Super Bowl. It is what it is. Following the 2005 season, the Bears signed veteran Brian Griese as the team's second string. Orton, now demoted, became the Bears' third string. And did not see any. Okay, so apparently they just, were not as convinced by his wins. It is what it is. And he was good. I was gonna say, in 08 after that Super Bowl year, because I remember they did face here. I guess, can we look it up? They faced the Colts that next. I think the opening night was one of the first times that we actually watched a game at somebody else's house. Hey, yo. And they won the game. So Orton was 150 yards. Yeah, it was not like great in that game, but I just remember him winning that game and be like, how is Kyle Orton winning a game against Peyton Manning? Like, what is football? Peyton Manning just won the Super Bowl, and now he's going to go out and lose to Kyle Orton. And they were 9-6 that year, so they're like, okay. But it was like, oh, man, this is, what is this? So thankfully that Super Bowl went the way it did. But I guess Kyle Orton, was he also 2005 draft? So, yeah, Southeast Polk chat. Hey, yo. I didn't know we could claim Kyle Orton as an Iowa guy. Uncle Rico, shout out. So are we back pro Kyle Orton? Best quarterback in the state of Iowa ever? He might be. Or, like, quarterback to ever be produced out of Iowa. We might have to. Oh, I guess Kurt Warner. Hey, yo. We're not thinking there. But then it's Kyle Orton after that. I don't know. Lakers up after 1 quarter. Is Durant playing? Did he sub in? I think he did. Yeah, and he's cooking, chat. 4 for 5. So the Lakers might just be better. And I guess Marcus Smart has been playing okay. Marcus Smart has been playing okay. I mean, he was okay in the first game. He's got 14 first quarter points. So if Scoot Henderson wasn't enough, chat, Marcus Smart balling out tonight. Jackson Hayes with 3. LeBron 2 assists. I mean, it's just Marcus Smart calling ISOs, I guess, is essentially what's going on there. I guess if you're the Rockets, do you think Durant more likely to keep up his performance than Marcus Smart? But, hey, yo, the Lakers are at home, so I don't know if they would travel. I could see that series being 2-2 going back to L.A., but regardless, impressive 5 quarters for the hampered Lakers there. But we've got Ocho, we got Reggie Wayne going to the 49ers. And again, Ocho, shout out. We're only dropping you to 8 just because you named yourself Ocho. That's the main reason there. So Chicago gets him. And we've got, I guess, the Hall of Famers taken care of. Some of the high-value weapons taken care of out of this class as well, too. And I guess, like we said, Santana Moss, shout out. Justin Smith. Derek Burgess with 50 sacks. Aaron Schobel, 78 out of TCU. Couple of Pro Bowls as well. Let's see. Pro Bowls. Breeze, Seymour, Hutchinson, Wayne, Johnson, Smith, Wilson, we mentioned earlier. Chris Jenkins, shout out the Jenkins family. Ayo, obviously the Chris Jenkins, Michigan version being a legend there. Oh, we didn't end up getting to Deuce McAllister, chat, even though he was a baller, for sure. Quick Deuce, one of the great NFL names. You got to love that. 23rd pick, 2 Pro Bowls, 1,600 yards in 2003, 2,000 overall yards from scrimmage. So just straight up one of the best offensive players in the league. Only 8 touchdowns, but he had 16 the year before that. So again, the best version of Deuce McAllister. Obviously, a great running back. And the better running back on the Saints between him and Reggie Bush, I don't know about that. But I think he was there for a little bit when Bush was there and, you know, getting some minutes as well, too. So I guess this is kind of similar to this year's draft where, again, it is kind of a 1 quarterback class. And then is Ty Simpson the Drew Brees of this class? Hey, yo, is there a case? I didn't think that's pretty high compliments. But I did see some of the Gruden QB class stuff, and he did seem pretty impressed with Ty Simpson. So if Gruden, if he can win Gruden over, then, you know, I'm sure he could win the Remington pod over as well too. It is what it is there. But you know, again, and again, hindsight looking back, being like, is Ty Simpson Drew Brees? Like, that's not what I'm saying. But, you know, is he Drew Brees? Is he, you know, Chargers Drew Brees maybe before his career takes off? And if Mendoza is Mike Vick, I mean, you know, I don't know if we would have seen that. If Mendoza becomes the most terrifying Madden player of all time, you know, that'd be a little bit of a turn of events. But, you know, him being the by far best quarterback, that guy, like we're saying, that can, I think, legitimately incite. Like, I think the Raiders fans will be excited. And I think there will be a rallying around him as a quarterback as well, too. Like, I'm trying to think, like, you know, like, even like a guy like Sam Darnold right now in Seattle. Like, he definitely is being, you know, celebrated for the performances that he's had over the last couple of years, kind of emerging as one of the better stats guy in the league, leading that team to the Super Bowl. I don't know if Sam Darnold himself, like, incites excitement, like we're saying, you know, no disrespect. Like, his performances have because he's played so well. But just, like, again, the idea of having this player on your team is alone so exciting. Like, you know, peak Russell Westbrook. Where it's like the idea of having Russell Westbrook on the court is enough, where that's exciting enough. You know, obviously there is a winning thing that some fan bases like as well too. But just the you know, Mike Vick can provide that. You can win with Mike Vick for sure. Oh, LeBron for 3. The Lakers 6 for 10 to start, so the 60% shooting continues. I mean, this might be the best 2-game shooting percentage efficiency that they've ever had. I mean, I guess like Kareem and James Worthy and Magic back in the day taking hook shots, you know, might have had a couple of 60% playoff games there, but this, you know, including if we're going distance, average distance as well too, that kind of makes it a little bit more impressive. I'm not sure, but what are we saying for Mendoza? Yeah, you know, he is again pretty exciting. I guess the receiver class could, you know, the receiving classes are always stacked now, so they could mirror that. We do have Moyaga, if I'm saying the name right. We do have the Miami guy as the lineman in the class that probably will be a top 5 to 7 pick. Like we're saying, Love as the 2026, not LaDainian Tomlinson maybe, but still the top 5 draft pick anyway. Is Ruben Bain Richard Seymour? You know, I don't know if Seymour, did he lead Georgia to a national title appearance the way that Bain did? Oh, Fran Tarkington, the best. Georgia, the home of Fran Tarkington and Anthony Edwards. Shout out. But here, let's go Richard Seymour college tenure and see what happened for Georgia those years there. George Mason. Oh, okay. This is definitely, I'd say that's definitely basketball. Wrong page. It is what it is. We can go back to the football page here real quick and get that pulled up. I don't know why it's taking so long to verify tonight, but we are good to go. Okay, here we go. Georgia, late 90s Georgia football. When was Pollock at Georgia? Late 90s, early 2000s? I feel like that would have been around that time. What white quarterback was quarterback in Georgia? Mark Richt, taken over in 2001. So maybe 2000 we're in luck. I don't know. 1998. We can go back there and see if Seymour was producing. Oh, Quincy Carter. Hey, yo. Whoa. We're proven wrong, Chad. Shout out to Quincy Carter playing there for Georgia in 98. I guess we don't have Seymour listed on defense. Champ Bailey, though. listed here. Did they have Champ Bailey and Richard Seymour at the same time? Or did he start getting minutes more in 99? Let's see if he appears on the defensive chart this year. I'm assuming he would if he was on the team. Okay, yeah, here we go. Seymour, one interception. It only lists interceptions, I guess. So I guess he gets in with the interception. That's why, obviously, Champ Bailey would be listed there. So, yeah, I guess he played during the Quincy Carter era. Hey, yo. So, I don't know. Maybe it was a Mark Richter. You know, it is what it is. But, you know, either way, there is parallels there. Let's see what we've got going on chat. Is this just us tapping out? No, it's not. It's not. We're doing research. We're doing research and we're trying to see what is going on here. 2001 versus 2026 NFL draft. How close is Fernando Mendoza compared to Mike Vick? Is it similar? Virginia Tech to Indiana, the way they turn those performances around could be pretty similar. Okay, key location, Madison Square Garden versus Pittsburgh. First round time. That is true. They did shorten the first round time, so I guess it was, you know, almost double back in the day. Marquee name, Mike Vick Mendoza. Heavy emphasis on true running backs and massive defensive tackles. Yes, positionless chess pieces and hybrid edge defenders, but, you know, those defensive line guys. Like we are saying, the draft changed NFL's DNA with Mike Vick going number 1 overall. He shattered the pocket passer mold. And the league was still skeptical of mobile quarterbacks at the time. Behind him, Drew Brees would prove that height wasn't everything. So the modern QB is expected to be processor first. Mendoza enters as the projected top prize. A lot is for cerebral play style. LaDainian Tomlinson and Deuce McAllister were top tier investments. On defense, nose tackle was a cornerstone. Except like Casey Hampton, I guess, getting a shout out here as well too. In 2026, the focus has shifted to the edge in the secondary. Prospects like Arvell Reese, Ruben Bain are drafted for their ability to play multiple roles. Jeremiah Love in the top 10. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The 2001 elite Justin Smith, Wayne Chad Johnson, I guess Caleb Downs, true. There's not like the safety that we were seeing, or the defensive back. I guess, again, like if Caleb Downs had Adrian Wilson's career, like that's still a good career. But I think there is a little bit more expectation based on some of the prospect stuff there as well, too. Fun fact, when Mike Vick was drafted in 2001, some of the top prospects in 2026 weren't even born yet. Is that a fun fact? I don't know. But like we said, we'll be live for the draft this upcoming Thursday. Typically, we are live for a Sunday, Tuesday, Friday live stream schedule, but we've got to add the extra one in for the draft because the draft is so much fun and we're going to be watching it anyway. So we've got to jump on and hang out here with you guys watching the NFL draft, going through the picks, live reactions as they happen. It's going to be fun. You know, unfortunately, the Colts will not be on the clock until day 2, but, you know, we love Sauce Gardner. Welcome to the team. Hey, yo, we can't wait for that Defensive Player of the Year in 2026. 7, right? Wink, wink. I think as soon as he gets back healthy from that injury, can he win defensive? Do they have a 65-game limit in the NFL as well? I'm not sure. But is that Holiday for 3, Chad? Another Holiday? Oh, and falling down. Kennard pulling up for 3. Oh, the first missed 3 the Lakers have had in a while. Luke Kennard as well, like we've said, important for this Lakers team. I know overshadowed by Marcus Smart tonight, but that's been basically all the scoring. Is LeBron passing to these guys? Hey, yo. He's been carried by some real people, Chad. I guess 12 for LeBron. But, I mean, Luke Kennard, J.R. Smith, you know, Ilgaskis. Like, who has not carried LeBron? I mean, this is crazy. You know, Marcus Smart's doing it this time. Pause. Hey, yo. Somebody always has to step up and help LeBron. That's crazy. LeBron couldn't score 100 points like himself. Obviously, MJ scored, you know, 101 points a game and was consistently making every field goal attempt that he had out there in those Bulls games, right? He wasn't, delegating and assisting wasn't necessary for him because he could hit every shot. So, you know, LeBron's not the greatest player of all time because he passes to his teammates is really what it is. That's really where the debate goes. But I guess, you know, again, if you got Luke Kennard out there, you're going to want to swing the rock. It is what it is. Durant's still stuck at 11. We're going to need Amen Thompson to step up, obviously, for the Rockets if we're talking from that viewpoint here. Both of these, obviously, rivals of the Spurs. There's no good answer for either of these winning. And they're both playing OKC in the next round, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You know, maybe there was a time we kind of thought Houston was one of the better matchups for OKC. Unfortunately, I don't know if that's the case anymore. But the Durant legacy battle of that would be, of course, interesting. But honestly, with the way the Lakers are playing now, Luka and Reeves back healthy, with the way Kennard and Smart are playing, would be more interesting than this Rockets team. Because, I mean, objectively, if they had Luka, I guess you could argue, you know, the Kennard spacing. Can Luka be playing as well as Marcus Smart is right now? Because he's basically taking the Marcus Smart minutes. So Marcus Smart equaling his production, weirdly. But just having him to be able to be an energy guy off the bench as well, too, I think would be obviously added to the team. So, hey, if they are able to survive a round, because they did say end of May, so if they are able to survive this round, then there is, I think, probably a possibility that they'll be back for round 2, would be our non-medical guess. But, yeah, there we go. 2001 NFL draft in the books. Wemby's first playoff loss in the books. We witnessed it here. We have to make the walk of shame in our Spurs colorway get up out of the studio. It is what it is, and I guess we'll be in Sauce Gardner Buffalo Wild Wings gear for the draft, representing our first-round pick, our honorary first-round pick, hoping that Caleb Downs doesn't go to 16. I mean, you know, I guess we do hope that a great player goes everywhere, chat. Pause. Hey, yo. You know, if the Jets draft a great player at 16, then that would be great because, you know, we think they'd be cursed going to the Jets. But if it's Caleb Downs, just on principle to matter, that would suck. They have him going 10 right now to the Giants. So that's good. Ayo. Get my top 10. Jordan Tyson to the Jets. I can live with that. Jordan Tyson is going to probably put up 1,600 yards as a rookie. He's the best receiver the league has ever seen. But a receiver at 16, you know, again, you can live with that. You can live with that. A tight end, Kenyon Sadiq. I mean, that's exactly who Ballard would take. So even with Brock Bowers, he's like, we can play 2 tight ends. We can play 4 tight ends. Brock Bowers basically a receiver. So Brock Bowers and Mo Alley Cox and Kenyon Sadiq and Jelani Woods. I mean, the team would be stacked. But like we said, we will be on the board for pick 47 Friday night. So I guess we'll be here Friday night as well too. We'll get to see who the Colts pick eventually. Christian Miller on the board. Keontae Scott. Ooh, Keontae Scott would not be bad, I think, as well. Josiah Trotter. Shout out. Any relation to Jeremiah Trotter? Both linebackers, which is why I'm throwing that out there. Jennings Dunker, the offensive tackle that was going crazy at the combine. They have him getting picked to the Patriots. Do they know Belichick's not at the Patriots anymore? Imagine this back-to-back run. Dominic Orange and Jennings Dunker. Hey, yo. What a couple of names. Shout out. And then Chris Brazil. This is Brazil. That needs to be the drop when he gets picked. If the announcer doesn't say that, with the 65th overall pick in the 2026 NFL Draft, the Cardinals select, this is Brazil. So I guess that third round would still be Friday night when we're drafted. So if Brazil goes third round, we'll get to see. And then Bud Clark as well too. And who was the other guy we saw earlier? Algie. Oh no, that was in the 2001 redraft. I think not for this draft. Justin Jolly. There we go. Look at that. They've got the Colts taking a tight end at 113. If we're going to invest in a tight end, I guess we do need a backup. But I think we got backups. I guess Granson's gone. We need to replace our 6th tight end that left in free agency. Jacoby Lane, 122. Kind of a familiar name for some reason. Harold Perkins Jr. at 140. Hey, yo. What's going on there? I thought he was a first-round pick at one point in his timeline. But we'll see what happens Thursday, like we said. Hopefully you all join us here on the YouTube. You can follow us on the podcast feeds. You can hit us up with a message at REMINGTOM on Instagram. Over there, your mock draft picks. I don't know, everything. Lakers up by 13. Whoa. Things are getting out of hand. We can leave at the right time. So, Lakers up 2-0. Spurs 1-1. Chat, maybe not the way we want to leave, but it is what it is. We'll get them in game 3, chat, right? Let's hope. So there we go. We'll leave. We'll see y'all later. Peace.